Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 4PIW. 19%. Chapter 91. Actor Kizaru, seeking subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Celebration Island. Neither Whitebeard nor Marine knew that something big happened outside, and the Ant and the Revolutionary Army were coming here. Certainly, even if they knew it, they didn't have time to pay attention to it. Because after the horn of battle was blown, the battle between the two sides had already begun. Last time I let you run away, this time I will send you into Impel Down. The Ghost Spider Vice Admiral yelled and rushed towards Marco. Then it depends on whether you have this strength. Marco was not afraid. Everyone will stop these Vice Admiral, and we must not let them interfere with Dad. Jinbei drank and rolled out with one palm. Although I am not a member of the Whitebeard Pirates, but after spending so many days on other people's ships, I can't leave in danger. Crocodile dangling a cigar rolled up the sky full of yellow sand. I'll help too, Luffy yelled. But as soon as he rushed out, he was kicked by the flying squirrel Vice Admiral. You get back to the ship, this kind of battle is not something you can participate in. Ace caught Luffy and said seriously. Although Luffy is a supernova. But the strength of the Vice Admiral of Yummo Mouse is not weak. It should not be too simple to crush the supernova of the war period. With Luffy's strength, it can't help at all. Do not want. Luffy yelled and refused, clenching his fist. Uncle Whitebeard has been teaching me hockey, how can I escape if I have trouble now? Speaking of breaking away from Ace's arm, he continued to rush. This guy. Ace looked helpless. Don't worry, just take care of him during the fight. Beasta said. Ace heard that he could only give up blocking and joined the melee at the same time. Advertisement. The strength of the Whitebeard pirate group is very strong, including Marco, Ace, Joes, Beasta, Jinbei, Crocodile and other masters. But the strength of General Marine is not weak. There are more key people. There are not only 5 Vice Admiral of Buster Call, but also a bunch of Giant Vice Admiral and a bunch of Rear Admiral. The captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. Basically it was more than a dozen, completely blocked. Next is our battle. Aokiji was cold and wanton, and seemed to want to be true. If it was before, he might release water. But now it's different. Before coming, Sengoku hinted that if he could show more strength than Akainu in this live broadcast battle, Sengoku can withstand the pressure and push him to the top. This is not to say that he wants to be a marshal too much. But I don't want to make Akainu cheap. Because Akainu is too extreme, especially after being beheaded by Whitebeard, he hates the pirate even more. If you let Akainu become the marshal, there are bound to be countless Ohara tragedies. I can't stop the Ohara incident, but I, who bear justice, can't watch more tragedies happen. Speaking coldly, he walked towards Whitebeard. Your opponent is me. Before Aokiji took the shot, Bullet blocked the front. He was defeated by Whitebeard because the fit giant was beaten to pieces, and felt that there was no hope of winning, so he gave up. It's not that I was seriously injured by Whitebeard. Actually, he was hiding in the body of the behemoth, and he was not injured at all, so dealing with an admiral is not a problem. Heir to the devil. Bullet. Aokiji's face changed slightly. Faced with such a master, even if he is admiral, he dare not underestimate it. Yo! Exclamation mark. It seems that we can only deal with Whitebeard. Kizaru stretched his tone. Advertisement. The words fell, and golden light flashed. He appeared behind Whitebeard in the blink of an eye. With the hands together, a golden lightsaber appeared. Heavenly Cloud Sword. What? The violent sound of breaking through the air exploded. The long sword was cut down suddenly. But Whitebeard's reaction was faster than expected. With a swing of his arm, his broad knife was at his side. Clang. The sound of gold and iron spread. Invisible energy bursts, sweeping in all directions. The surrounding ground couldn't bear this kind of force, and it shattered directly. Seeing a miss, Kizaru quickly retreated. Coming to the right side of Whitebeard, he said slowly, it's really terrible. I am obviously more than 70 years old, but I am not weak. I can still see my existence by this strength. Goo la la la. Kizaru kid, are you scared? Whitebeard smiled calmly. Of course, after all, he is the strongest man in the world. Kizaru's tone is still weird. But that being said, there is no fear in his actions. Vigorously shook the Sky Cluster Cloud Sword and launched a series of fierce attacks. Clang, clang, clang. A series of sounds appeared. The speed of the two of them reached ultimate, and they became undetectable with the naked eye. It's amazing, your swordsmanship is so superb. Kizaru couldn't help exclaiming. Quote. La la la. Kizaru boy, the big knife in my hand is Kong Yunchi. Whitebeard said, and the knife cut across, bringing up a sharp light. Don't look at his usual abilities in hockey. But the cultivation of swordsmanship is not weak. Kong Yunchi is one of the supreme sharp knives, this weapon is in his hand, it is not for display. Advertisement. Stabbed. The sword slashed Kizaru's head straight. It's terrible. Kizaru's eyes condensed, The long sword in his hand disappeared, and his body jumped up. Bakichong Guyu squeezed both hands and waved vigorously. Many golden balls of light appeared, blasting down like bullets. But the power is just average. Akainu, who hadn't shot yet, was taken aback. Seeing Ba Kai Chong Guyu falling from the sky, I always feel something is wrong. But I can't tell where there is a problem. Money is good, Zhao. Boom. The ball of light blasted down and shattered the ground. Numerous stone chips splashed and brought up dust. And at this moment, a sound of breaking through the air sounded from within the dust. The heavy smoke was broken through, and Whitebeard's figure went straight into the sky. Boom. Fist slammed down. The terrifying shock wave spread and slammed into Kizaru. Kizaru didn't react for a while, and his body flew out, smashing to the ground. Boom. The ground cracked and smoke covered. When the smoke disappeared, Kizaru was already on his knees, with blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. Just a few minutes. As Admiral, Kizaru was injured by Whitebeard. Many Vice Admiral were shocked. The captain of the Whitebeard pirate group was shocked. Admiral, Aokiji and Akainu were also surprised. I don't understand why Kizaru, who usually kicks a supernova, gets injured when he comes to Whitebeard. Thank you for reading this story at mtlnation.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Advertisement. 19%. Chapter 92. Blood Abuse Akainu seeking subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Porisalino. Akainu growled. His body was shaking. Not because of shock, not because of fear, but because of anger. If it just felt strange. That is now confirmed. Pelusalino. Kizaru. Headquarters Admiral, even paddling in this important and live broadcast situation. Obviously has Admiral strength, but I don't want to use it. I don't want to fight Whitebeard. Instead, he used his clumsy acting skills to deceive the world and threw Marine's face to the ground. The monstrous anger hits his heart. Let him gritted his teeth, his arms burned with molten flame. What the hell are you doing? This is war, and your current behavior simply loses Marine's face. Akainu groaned and demanded. The strongest person in the world is not so easy to deal with, isn't your arm cut off by him? Kizaru replied in a weird tone. Akainu's expression stagnated. There is no way to refute this. Because Whitebeard is really strong, so strong that Admiral is not an opponent. Kizaru was wounded by a blow, and it seems to have said the past. Enough, now is not the 837 time for infighting. The crane not far away Vice Admiral drank low. Before the enemy had taken it, his own people quarreled first, and it was a shame to be thrown home while still broadcasting. Humph. Akainu snorted coldly. I feel very aggrieved. I knew that Kizaru was paddling, but I couldn't find a reason to refute it. This feeling made him angry. Advertisement. And. Hold it down again. An angry flame erupted in his heart, rushing towards Whitebeard at full speed. Since Kizaru is unwilling to contribute, then rely on him. Crane Vice Admiral sighed. She knows. Kizaru's justice is ambiguous justice. In Kizaru's mind, what Marine calls justice is not necessarily true justice, and the actions of pirates are not necessarily evil. This also causes the opponent to seldom kill anything no matter what they do. Usually, when catching pirates, they usually just catch them, but don't kill people. Sometimes they just beat the pirates, and then let the other party to flee. Although this behavior has violated Marine's justice. But it can't be blamed. Great eruption. Akainu used her own stunt, ABFA, in the roar. Several fist-like lava flames erupted and blasted towards Whitebeard. At the same time, Kizaru also stood up. The body turned into a beam of light and appeared in the sky. Bakichong Guyu squeezed both hands and waved vigorously. Numerous golden balls of light exploded and fell in an overwhelming form. Kizaru is paddling though. However, it does not mean that you can't make a move. It's just a little bit hidden during the battle. If this is not an opponent, it can only be said that the opponent is too weak, no wonder he. Boom, boom, boom. The flame fell with the ball of light. As if countless bombs exploded, shattering the ground and raising countless dust. Did you make it? Vice Admiral, who heard the movement, looked at it. But this is not over yet. I saw a hurricane roll up and blow away the heavy smoke. Boom. Cracks appeared in the air. Advertisement. The fierce shock burst out, completely offsetting the power of the flame and the light ball. Failed. Akainu's eyes were cold, then rushed away in a roar, lava spreading his fist, releasing the ultimate high temperature. Die me. With a loud shout, the body jumped up and came to the top of Whitebeard's head. After covering the sky with sunlight, it hit Whitebeard's head hard. Goo la la la. Magma boy, you are too arrogant, it seems that the last pain hasn't taught you a lesson. Whitebeard smiled calmly. Faced with such a terrible blow, he did not evade at all. When he was about to be hit, raised his arm, armament hockey covered the entire arm like a tide. Immediately, without fear of the high temperature of the magma, he grabbed the fist that fell. Pippa. The flames are permeated, and the white smoke evaporates. But Whitebeard ignored it, and squeezed it tightly so that the other party couldn't break free. Do you think I will make a second mistake? There was a sharp smile on Akainu's face. Last time he was caught in this way by Whitebeard and lost an arm. At that time he was thinking. If you encounter this situation next time, what should you do? After a long period of consideration, he has long found a way to deal with such emergencies. Pippa. Molten on the fist erupted. It spreads toward Whitebeard's arm like alive. If Whitebeard does not let go, the entire arm may be burned by magma. See this. Akainu's smile was even worse. I feel that Master has the initiative. Now either Whitebeard gave up an arm and gave himself a full blow. Either let go of yourself and let yourself continue to attack. No matter what. All in his master. Magma Kid. You are too proud. Advertisement. Whitebeard drank low. Look at Akainu who feels in control of the whole situation. It was found that Whitebeard did not release his palm at all, but he did not use the power of shock fruit either. Instead, he put his other hand on his shoulder. Then forcefully. Boom. Akainu's strong body was pressed to the ground. The ground trembled, and dust was lifted. Whitebeard also took this opportunity to grab the cloud and cut it, and the steel handle hit Akainu's magma palm. Kong Yunchi is one of the supreme sharp knives. With the temperature of your magma, you can't melt it instantly. Whitebeard spoke lowly. With one effort, the hilt of the knife firmly pressed Akainu's only arm. Not good. Akainu's face changed drastically, and she wanted to struggle to stand up. But did not wait for him to react. I saw Whitebeard raise his other arm, which contained a vibrating light ball. Boom. Loud roar. Akainu, who was still incomparable just now, was blasted into the ground with a punch. As the shock wave spread, the head continued to sink. The face that was originally considered to be majestic, was suddenly stained red with blood, and was obviously embarrassed. Damn. 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 Akainu was furious. Do not understand. Obviously he was fully prepared, why was he still punched into the ground by Whitebeard? Did not wait for him to think clearly. Whitebeard had already raised his arm again. Hit hard with a fist. Boom. The earth roars, and the smoke fills up. The vice admiral present and people in front of big screens all over the world watched this scene in shock. Did not expect. As Akainu of Admiral, will be so brutally abused by Whitebeard, he will not even have the power to fight back. Chapter 93. Alternate Admiral Debut, subscription required. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. How so? Isn't Akainu Admiral? Isn't he able to fuse the sea with one punch? Why is he still beaten by Whitebeard so helplessly? Whitebeard is really that great. Neither Admiral are opponents. Is it going to lose again this time? Marine has been losing again and again, what the hell is doing? The people of Sabayati Archipelago are angry. At first they had great expectations for Marine. Hope that Marine can eradicate Whitebeard by this war, thus ending the era of great pirates. But the result was disappointing. 3 Admiral, many, Vice Admiral, thousands of seamen. With this strength, it is not yet an opponent. The 2 Admiral who had high hopes were even beaten by Whitebeard. From anticipation to despair, it completely angered the people who watched the live broadcast. An Admiral is not Whitebeard's opponent. Rayleigh laughed. Why say one? First of all, Kizaru has been paddling. Secondly, Akainu has one arm missing, not to mention half of his combat power, but 1/4 is still there. So the combined combat power of the 2. It's a peak Admiral's level. At this level, wanting to defeat Whitebeard in the strongest state is simply a dream. But the world government won't just watch Marine defeat. After all, this is a live broadcast. Shaki spit out smoke and said lightly. Since the world government dared to let the live broadcast continue, it did not intervene. It must have its own cards. If there is no whole card, who would take the risk? Advertisement. Holy Land Mariajoy. 5 Elders, the head of the world government, is also watching the live broadcast. Dignified Admiral, being so crushed by the enemy, how can this become Martial Marine? 5 Elders with the bald head and Whitebeard has an ugly face. They also pushed Akainu hard before. But reality slapped them severely. As Marine's highest combat power, it was crushed by Whitebeard to the point that he could not fight back. This is not Akainu's fault. The other 5 Elders shook his head. Knowing that Akainu took out the strongest force to fight. The reason for this is that Whitebeard is too strong. And he wants Akainu to take the lead. What matters is not how strong Akainu is. It's attitude. After all, the second era of great pirates is coming, and they need a tough marshal, not the doves of Sengoku. Let CP0 take action, and put PX0 at the same time to carry out a carpet bombing of the entire island. Except for Shichibukai, none of the other pirates can be spared. By the way, let Sengoku not hesitate, and immediately increase his strength. Third place 5 Elders snorted. Marine's strength is more than that. Leaving aside Sengoku and Garp, even Admiral, the alternate in Marine, didn't make a shot. The alternate Admiral may not be as good as the real Admiral. But it won't be much worse. Otherwise, it will not be placed in the alternate position. The situation is not good now. Don't let Sengoku continue to hesitate, so as not to delay the opportunity. The 5 elders nodded one after another. Soon, the order is passed on. Sengoku, located on the warship on the island of Celebration, also received the call immediately. Warship office. Advertisement. Sengoku sat down with a heavy face. Puff ha ha ha. It seems that the world government is giving you another problem. Garp cupped his belly and laughed. You bastard, if you can make a move, why would I have such a headache? Sengoku growled uncomfortably. Don't say that, after all, my 2 grandsons are on the island, and you are considerate of me. Garp clasped his nostrils, not caring at all. How can your family cause trouble so much? Sengoku got up in a hurry, grabbed the donut next to Garp, and ate it all in one bite. Hello. Garp's eyes widened. Looking at the empty bag, I felt a pain. Humph. Sengoku snorted in satisfaction, then returned to the desk and picked up the phone worm. The current situation is indeed bad. The power of PX0 and CP0 should also be deployed. Thus, even if Whitebeard were to run away, it wouldn't be nothing. In order to barely maintain Marine's majesty. 0 seeking flowers, 0. The order is issued. A large number of PX0 began to act. They had no consciousness, and surrounded the small islands. Anyone who sees a person or a ship, as long as it is not marine, immediately conducts indiscriminate bombing. Those pirates who ran wildly suffered the first time. Even New World tycoons such as World and early Disaster Jack have encountered a lot of trouble. Let Gion and Cake also take action, you can't drag it any longer. At this time Sengoku gave the final order. If these cards cannot be used to reverse the situation, then Buster Call can only be launched. I know. Advertisement. Garp clasped his nose and spoke Kaido casually. Then, after a long delay, Sengoku couldn't help but yell before he went down to inform the 2 of them. Celebration on the island. The war came to a critical moment. PX0 and CP0 were dispatched to eradicate the pirates on the island on a large scale, and the screams filled the sky. And at this moment, Whitebeard also grabbed the miserable Akainu. You bastard. Akainu said intermittently, with a face covered in blood. But before he could finish speaking, Whitebeard raised his fist, a group of shocking lights appeared, and a punch came out. Boom. The ear-splitting sound exploded. The powerful force crushed Akainu. Let him open his mouth wide, blood spurted out, and his body flew out like a cannonball. Seeing this, Whitebeard grabbed Kong Yunchi. Step on the ground with your feet. The body rushed like thunder and lightning, as if he wanted to solve Akainu completely. But at this moment, a slash like a galaxy rushed from a distance. The earth was torn apart, and rubble flew around. See this. Whitebeard had to raise his sword to block it. Clang. The sound of gold and iron sounded. With the swing of the broadsword, the slashing blow disappeared, and a man and a woman also came from a distance. The man looks mature and wretched. The woman is tall, mature and beautiful, with a big knife in her hand, which makes her more heroic. That slash just now. It seems that this woman has issued it. And. Chapter 94. Momosegi's shock, seeking subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Eat Chaju and Teoman. Admiral, the 2 alternates in this department. Although the alternate admiral is alternate, his strength is not much weaker. With the help of 2 alternate admiral, he can definitely defeat Whitebeard. General Marine started talking, and he was relieved. Is it finally here? Bloody Akainu struggled to stand up. Although trying to maintain his majesty, if you look closely, you can still see the happiness flashing in your eyes. If it weren't for Momosegi to shoot in time. With a single blow from Whitebeard, even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Quick battle, take Whitebeard down. T. Dolphin said. Talking and Momosegi jumped up and surrounded Whitebeard in a left and right position. As we approached step by step, we saw Momosegi build up Kimbira. The arm waved, and a sword cut it down. Stabbed. The soaring sword light, 837, crossed. As if to tear everything in the world, he rushed in the direction of Whitebeard. In just an instant, the earth was split in half. Momosegi is not only a candidate for admiral. She is also a female swordsman. From this sword, we can see how strong this alternate admiral is. Goo la la la, you can't beat me with this strength alone. Whitebeard laughed loudly. As he raised his arm, he punched the air hard at the moment when the slash rushed. Boom. The air burst. Cracks spread one after another, and strong shock waves spread. Then under everyone's gaze, the force of the vibration slammed into the shocking slash. Boom. A dull sound appeared. The original slash that tore the earth. Broken. Advertisement. Just touched the shock wave. It was crushed and turned into a little bit of light and disappeared. How can it be? That's Momosegi's blow. Why didn't I get any effect? Could it be that Momosegi Vice Admiral hasn't used all its strength yet? The Vice Admiral looked horrified. Never thought that the blow of the alternate Admiral Momosegi was so easily solved. Hey, what about Admiral? Her opponent is the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Crocodile sneered. Speaking and waving his hands, yellow sand broke out all over the sky. Boom. Loud roar. The yellow sand leapt more than 10 meters high and blasted towards the Vice Admiral. The Vice Admiral were awakened by these words. Yes. Momosegi's opponent is Whitebeard, the strongest person in the world who can crush even the real Admiral. During the Battle of Marineford, it was a blow that crushed the world's largest swordsman Eagle Eye with one punch. Momosegi is great though, but compared to Whitebeard, it is not strong enough. So the slash was crushed by a punch. It doesn't seem to be a weird thing. Boom. At this time, the yellow sand rushed. All Vice Admiral was no longer in the mood to wait and see, and hurriedly blocked them. At the same time, the shock wave from Whitebeard's punch. It also rushed towards Momosegi with unparalleled momentum, shook the rocks on the ground, and then crushed them into powder. Boom. The shock wave came. Momosegi wrinkled beautifully, and hurriedly raised the long sword, blocking it in front of him. Clang. The sound of gold and iron sounded. Under the strong impact, Momosegi's arm trembled. The tall body was pushed back again and again, and it was only a few meters later that it could not be stopped. There was also a tingling pain in the arm due to the impact of the vibration. Advertisement. So strong. A look of shock flashed in Momosegi's eyes. Although I knew that Whitebeard was very strong before I came here, I didn't know the specific strength because he hadn't played against each other. Until today, after a head-on confrontation with Whitebeard. She just felt the terribleness of the man in front of her. He used the strongest slash. They were crushed by a punch, and at the same time they were knocked back several steps. Don't be careless. T. Dolphin reminded. Momosegi took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. Then raised the long sword. The slender, white arms slashed hard. The sword light burst like lightning, cutting all obstructions, and slashing towards Whitebeard. The power of this blow was stronger than the previous one. The ground was torn apart and huge cracks appeared. Let's do it together. Akainu threw a fist in the roar, and the molten slurry stretched and turned into a dog's head. Go to hell, Whitebeard. Canine Tooth Gurren. The swift molten flame roared out, and the air was twisted by the ultimate heat. Kizaru also leapt up and came to the top of Whitebeard's head. Squeezed both hands and waved vigorously. Bakichong Guyu. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Countless spheres of light appeared, falling to zero in an overwhelming state. The attack of the three rushed in different directions, completely blocking Whitebeard's escape route. Very good. Two Admiral and an alternate Admiral shot at the same time, and they will definitely beat Whitebeard. That man who is more terrifying than the devil is finally going to die. Marine will win, kill Whitebeard. The people of Sabayati Archipelago, watching the battle on the big screen, suddenly cheered. It seemed that Whitebeard was going to be in a different place in the next second. Goo la la la, you guys are so naive. Advertisement. Whitebeard laughed loudly. What if you are surrounded by front, back, left, and right? No matter how many attacks there are, he only needs to find one direction to resolve this despair. The words fell, and the sword was raised sharply. Stabbed. The arm slashed hard. A fierce light flashed across and slammed into Momosegi's slash. The two collided and exploded in an instant. Whitebeard also took this opportunity to rush out, and almost instantly came to Momosegi. A light ball appeared on his fist. Not good. A look of horror appeared on Momosegi's mature and beautiful face. Want to avoid. But, boom. The power of shock exploded. The long knife in front of him trembled. Momosegi, unable to withstand the impact, took both feet off the ground and flew out. Whitebeard solves the attack from one side. Turn around 5.0 sharply. The light group reappeared. Boom. Hit it with a punch. The cracks spread, blocking Akainu and Kizaru's attacks, and thick agricultural smoke was raised. Phew. The breeze is blowing. The smoke disappeared and the island returned to calm. Momosegi, who was on the offensive side, was half kneeling on the ground at this time, with blood bleeding from the corners of his mouth. But Whitebeard, who was attacked, unscathed. Everyone stopped fighting subconsciously and looked at Whitebeard in amazement, unable to imagine how Whitebeard did it. Momosegi, who was injured, opened his eyes even more. Full of eyes. It's too late. The color of shock. There is something wrong in the past few days, that is, ancestor worship, so there are only 4 to 5 chapters every day, and 7 changes will be restored after the ancestor worship is over. Chapter 95. Whitebeard's Horror Promotion, Seeking Subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Momosegi was shocked. Very shocked. Although I knew that Whitebeard was very strong, I didn't expect it to be so strong. Facing the siege of 2 Admiral and a Quasi-Admiral. Not weak at all. This made her understand what is called goo la la la. Boys, what other means are there to use them all? Whitebeard smiled calmly. Don't you feel arrogant to catch the attack of the three of us? Momosuke took a deep breath. If you change to someone else, taking the offense from two admiral and one alternate admiral, I am afraid I would have laughed triumphantly. But when it came to Whitebeard, it was still calm. Doesn't seem to care. This calm feeling not only didn't relieve the pressure in her heart, but it shocked her even more. Because in her opinion, there are only real strong people. This is the attitude. Gion, are you okay? Cha Dolphin trot over, his face full of worry. After seeing that his goddess was injured by O1, he immediately looked at Whitebeard, his eyes full of anger. Now is the time to fight. Momosuke frowned. Whitebeard is so strong that it is when everyone is fighting desperately. Now the T-Dolphin ran over, ignoring the fight, which made her very dissatisfied. Oh. Seeing that his concern had not been taken care of, T-Dolphin suddenly laughed. Not daring to refute, and hurried back to the place. Advertisement. Go all out, this time we must get rid of Whitebeard. Akainu yelled. Hot magma emerged from his arm, and with the wave of his fist, it turned into a pillar of molten sky. The strongest man in the world. Dark Hound. The speed of the molten column was terrifying, and he came to Whitebeard in the blink of an eye. For this blow, Whitebeard did not evade. Instead, he raised his fist and smashed it heavily. Boom. The air shattered. A series of cracks and Dark Hound collided with each other. There was a loud roar, and the smoke went straight into the sky. Just to try the power of cards. Whitebeard hid in the smoke and took the card out. Haki Awakening. This card can improve the user's 3 Haki 1, so that it reaches an unprecedented peak. This card was obtained when he defeated Bullet. I originally wanted to use it after leaving the island. But now being besieged, I can only see the function of this card in advance. Pop. A squeeze of the palm. The radiant card shattered. A warm current erupted from the body and directed towards the brain. At this moment, Whitebeard felt his brain awake countless times, and there was a voice in his ear. There was the roar of Vice Admiral, and the wailing of pirates. There was also the explosion of shells. At the same time, every move of Akainu and others, even breathing, are clearly revealed in his perception. With the thoughts swept away, he perceives everything that happened on the island. For example, CP0 hidden not far away. For example, World and Jack the Drow on the other side of the island are teaming up against the intercepting marine. Advertisement. Another example is the warship docked in the bay, and there are 2 familiar oars on it. The Breath people are Garp and Sengoku. At this moment, everything on the island is in Whitebeard's perception. Open black lens bracket Haki Awakening. After using this card, observation Haki has been improved unprecedentedly. Users can rely on observation Haki to feel the other's thinking and emotions, and convey their own consciousness to others, affecting their minds and thoughts, and have a strong resonance. You can even change the other party's values and ideology, and you can see through the future and gain insight into the future. The unprecedented observation Haki. Even Whitebeard's calm personality was shocked. No wonder it is only slightly perceptible. I perceive what is happening on the island. It turned out that the card raised his observation Haki to an unprecedented level. At this time, a breeze was blowing. The smoke and dust covering the surroundings dispersed. After locking on Whitebeard not far away, Dao Mian rushed towards him with Jinpailu in his hand. Goo la la la. Whitebeard smiled calmly. When observation Haki reached the peak, he was able to practice his hands personally. Thinking about it, he immediately took 3 steps back, and then remained motionless. At this time Momosuke swept across with a long sword, but as Whitebeard retreated 3 steps, the tip of the sword just passed in front of Whitebeard. What? Momosuke's eyes narrowed. Can't figure out why Whitebeard's avoidance is so precise. Unacceptable. She waved Jin Kun Luo again. Stabbed. The long sword was cut down. This time she lowered her body, and the angle of her sword was even more tricky. She swept in a diagonal cut of 60 degrees, as if she wanted to chop off Whitebeard's arm. But Whitebeard just turned his body sideways. The diagonally cut long sword slashed against Whitebeard's arm, causing a sound of breaking through the air. Seeing this, Momosuke's face was even more shocked. She still didn't believe it, and attacked continuously. Advertisement. But Whitebeard seemed to see the future. No matter how she attacked, she could avoid them one by one. Faced with such a weird scene, Momosuke couldn't help but yelled out loudly. How can it be? She was shocked. A sense of absurdity is even more direct. Let 837 stop her completely, standing not far away and staring at Whitebeard blankly, her eyes full of incredulity. She couldn't figure it out. I really don't understand. How does Whitebeard see through his offense? And every time you dodge, it's like a complete calculation, avoiding it in an extremely precise way. Such a terrifying prediction. The shock it brought to her was stronger than directly wounding her. Goo la la la. Your future has been seen through by me. Whitebeard laughed. What? Momosuke trembled all over, recalling what he felt just now. Amazement appeared on his mature and beautiful face. Does he really see my future, so that he can understand my attack? Talking and thinking quickly. Thinking about how Whitebeard did it. Finally, with years of experience, she locked observation haki. Because Whitebeard's ability is shock fruit ability, it is impossible to see through the future with fruit. Since it is not fruit ability, that can only be haki. In the three haki, it seems that only seeing, hearing and color can do this. The thought of Whitebeard's observation haki reached such a terrifying level. Even if she is the alternate admiral, I couldn't say a word of surprise. At this moment, in addition to shock on his face. Still shocked. Chapter 96. The world is shaking, seeking subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Goo la la la. Whitebeard was not surprised by Momosuke's shock. Because he knows how much his observation haki has improved. In the pirate world, observation haki has many powerful people. But only 3 of them are extremely special. One is Katakuri, who can see the future. The second is Princess Otahime, who can perceive people's hearts and even influence the thinking of others. The third is Enel, which can cover the experience and color on a large scale. Observation haki in Whitebeard today. It's like a combination of 3 people, and then improve again on the basis of the combination. So Momosuke's every move is completely mastered by him. Shabu. The knife lifted up and chopped down. A violent breaking sound rang from Momosuke's ears, awakening her, and then quickly dodged aside. But, the moment she avoided, she found the sky dimmed. Looking up, his eyes suddenly widened. She was dumbfounded. Really confused. The big knife that was still on the other side at the first glance fell on his head at the second glance. Not good. A look of horror appeared on Momosuke's face. Under the crisis of life and death, Jinpira was quickly lifted. Clang. The sound of gold and iron sounded. At the very moment, he caught Whitebeard's blow. Fine. Momosuke exhaled, and the look of the rest of his life appeared on his face. But this breath hasn't finished. His face changed drastically again. Advertisement. Strength. Unparalleled power. She felt a kind of ultimate power that crushed everything from Whitebeard's big knife. The look of rejoicing changed and turned into horror. The tall body was even more depressed. Cold sweat slipped from the corner of the forehead, and the arm holding the long sword bitterly resisted it, and it was almost impossible to resist it. Careful. The T-Dolphin yelled and rushed out at the fastest speed. Armament haki covered his fist and threw it towards Whitebeard's back. Whitebeard frowned. Raise the big knife, stab it at the speed of lightning at the same time, and then lightly pick it. Shabu. Jin Kunluo in Momosuke's hand escaped. Whitebeard also seized this opportunity and kicked his right foot violently. Boom. The dull voice rang. Momosuke, who had not had time to react, was kicked and flew out by Whitebeard. After falling to the ground was crushed and blood flowed in his mouth. Kick. Momosuke is the alternate admiral. He was kicked and seriously injured by Whitebeard. What a terrible strength. Momosuke stood up struggling, ignoring the severe pain from his stomach, looking at Whitebeard with a shocked face. As an alternate admiral, even if it's not as good as admiral, it won't be much worse. But now it's just a short time. Wounded by Whitebeard. This made her not only shocked, but also made her doubt her own strength. I wonder if I am too weak to be beaten so badly. How dare you hit Gion, I will never let you go. As a licking dog, the T-Dolphin roared. He jumped up, his fist slammed down. Be careful, don't go near him. Advertisement. Dao Mian was not only unhappy when he saw Cha Dolphin make a shot for himself, but he yelled out loud instead. After the fight just now, she knew how terrible Whitebeard was. The pinnacle level of experience and beauty can better understand the future. The T-Dolphin rushed forward so recklessly, it was not much different from giving someone a head. Pity. This reminder is obviously late. For the T-Dolphin's attack, Whitebeard just moved his head slightly and easily avoided it. At the same time, the arm grabbed the fist of Cha Dolphin. Wei Ka. He squeezed it violently and threw it over his shoulder. As the alternate admiral's T-Dolphin, he was severely thrown to the ground. Goo la la la. With this level of strength, you can't stand out. Whitebeard laughed. The fist was raised, and a ball of light emerged. Boom. A fist hit, and banged heavily on the T-Dolphin head. Terrible power erupted, and the ground shattered. The T-Dolphin was also punched into the pit, blood was flowing all over his face, and he looked very embarrassed. Quiet. The battlefield fell into a weird silence. Many vice admirals stopped fighting one after another, looking at the T-Dolphin being pressed to the ground with a dull expression, their eyes were full of disbelief. How so? Although Gion and Kaji are vice admiral, they are also alternate admiral. Why are they so easily resolved? Just kidding. Is the outcome of the Battle of Marineford going to be staged again? Are we going to lose? The vice admiral murmured. Witnessing this scene, everyone was shaken by it. Because Whitebeard is fighting against two admiral and two alternate admiral. How long is it now? Admiral, the two alternates, was suppressed. Advertisement. Kizaru Admiral and Akainu Admiral can't restrict Whitebeard. Even if Whitebeard can't defeat the four by himself. But the four of them have nothing to do with Whitebeard. Shocked. Come to my heart. Let the generals have the pessimistic idea of losing again. Haha. This is the strength of the old man. How can Sengoku send so many admiral to come? It is impossible to beat the old one. Joes laughed excitedly. Give up, you guys. No matter how many times you come, you will not be the opponent of the old man. Because old man. Ace couldn't get more excited. Uncle Whitebeard is so strong. Luffy swallowed. He knows how strong Admiral is. When I first met Aokiji, the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates didn't even have Chinhao Jiao or a mobile phone, so they were defeated. Several Admiral gathered now, but couldn't take Whitebeard. This made him feel the horror of Whitebeard. Daddy is so powerful, those of us who are sons can't embarrass him, so quickly solve our opponents. Marco drank. Clear. The captains are like a rainbow seedling. The situation that was originally a tie changed in an instant. The scales of war slowly tilted towards the Whitebeard pirates. The audiences far away at Sabayati Archipelago and New World all watched the battle on the screen blankly. I don't understand anyway. Why did Marine mobilize this power and still couldn't take Whitebeard? Not only can't get it. Auntie was beaten steadily and retreated. The thought of Whitebeard might win a second time. Thousands of viewers who watched the live broadcast trembled all over, and there was a look of fear on their faces. The strongest in the world. Chapter 97. Revolutionary Army debut, seeking subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Maritime. A huge ship broke through the waves and headed towards the Celebration Island. The marine warship guarding the surroundings of the island to prevent the pirates from escaping, found this ship the first time. Where did the ship come from? The seamen on the warship looked at each other. Then follow the mast and see the flag hanging on it. This flag is not a pirate flag, but a weird flag with a dragon picture and raw letters on a red background. Not a pirate ship. The Marines were even more puzzled. The live broadcast on the island of the celebration was spread all over New World. Logically speaking, no one would not know. But the ship in front of us was still coming here, making all the Marines puzzled. Pross Commodore, do you want to drive this ship away? A seaman spoke. Expulsion. Commodore named Pross nodded. If it was a pirate ship, they would naturally not let it go. Since it is not, it is better to do more than to do less, just let the ship leave. Yes. The Marine nodded, preparing to retreat. But at this moment, Pross Rear Admiral suddenly widened his eyes and looked at the flag on the mast. This banner is. Pross opened his eyes, and then remembered what 837 had remembered, and a look of fear appeared on his face. This is. The ships flying the flag of the Revolutionary Army appeared. And drove towards the island. Doesn't that mean that the Revolutionary Army is about to join the war? This thought came to him and shocked him. Advertisement. Then, under the suspicion of all the Marines, they rushed out of the monitoring room with heels. The banner of the Revolutionary Army. Another warship. Sengoku sat in the head of the office, closed his eyes and held his breath, waiting for the outcome of the war. But as the phone rang, he opened his eyes sharply, picked it up and connected. But after only a while, his face changed drastically, and his body stood up with a squeak, his arms holding the phone worm were a little trembling. Pop. The bubble on Garp's nose broke. He also woke up from his sleep, looked at Sengoku with sleepy eyes, and buttoned his nostrils. What happened again? Your son is here. Sengoku put down the phone bug tremblingly, took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. Huh, oh. Garp nodded subconsciously before waking up, but soon he woke up, his eyes widened in an instant, and he rushed to Sengoku and grabbed Sengoku by the collar. What did you say? That stinky guy is here. What is he here for? I still want to ask you. Besides, how can your family be so troublesome? First, the grandson, and now the son is here too. Sengoku looked ugly. The Revolutionary Army had been hiding before. Even though the world government spent great effort, it failed to dig out the Revolutionary Army. Now take the initiative to appear. And it still appeared on the battlefield of the world live broadcast. You don't need to think about it or know that it has a purpose. Certainly. This is not the point. The point is that a Whitebeard pirate group has already caused Marine a headache. Now there is another Revolutionary Army, which is terrible. Puff ha ha ha. That kid is wanted by the world government in various ways, and he is also called the most vicious criminal in the world. Now that he doesn't hide well, he even dared to come out. He is truly my son. Garp firmly thumbs up and laughs. Advertisement. Asshole, I didn't praise you. Sengoku was furious, at the same time walking around the office anxiously. Whitebeard is the enemy of Marine. The Revolutionary Army is too. If you let the two meet and join hands, Then this war doesn't need to continue, just surrender directly. Okay, okay, don't laugh anymore. But I want to remind you that things have been unexpected, you'd better inform the world government as soon as possible, and don't get caught up in the flames. A serious look rarely appears on Garp's face. ABFA. He knew that after this battle, regardless of the victory or defeat, Sengoku would step down as the marshal. The emergence of the Revolutionary Army now exceeds the expectations of Marine and world government. If this war fails, with the urinary nature of world government, the responsibility will definitely be placed on Marine. Sengoku probably won't be guaranteed by that time. Therefore, as a friend, he does not want Sengoku to bear the burden of this scapegoat for the world government alone. Sengoku fell silent. It took a long time before he let out a long sigh. If it was put in the past, he would still be willing to carry this scapegoat for the world government. But as he grows older, after witnessing the various dark sides of the world government, his loyalty to the world government has also declined a lot. Now that I am about to retire, I don't want to carry this scapegoat. So I picked up the phone worm and dialed the number of 5 elders. The side of the island. The ships of the Revolutionary Army got closer and closer. Do you really want to shoot? Sabo asked again. Once shot, the Revolutionary Army will be completely exposed. As a force against the world government, it will definitely be strangled by the world government. At that time everything will change. A world war is coming, we have no time to wait any longer. Advertisement. Long Shen said. He was never a hesitant person. Now that the torrent of the times has come, let it go and do not hesitate. Because. Clear. Sabo took a deep breath, then nodded. I will go to the main battlefield, and the rest will clear the marine forces on the island, and then I will make peace. Long exhorted. Speaking, the body turned into a violent wind and disappeared. Let's do it, Sabo shouted. Clear. Many cadres of the Revolutionary Army looked at each other with sharp smiles on their faces. The marine warship directly ahead is also ready for battle. Hesitate to lose. This battle was the first battle in which the Revolutionary Army appeared before the world. So no matter what, you have to play beautifully. Finished. The cannon was ignited. With a roar, black cannonballs flew across. Boom. It fell heavily on the surface of the sea, and the blasting waves rolled, splashing countless sprays. Marine, who had been prepared early, saw that the Revolutionary Army had already taken action, and did not hesitate. Under the order, several warships surrounded it, and shells continued to explode. Boom, boom, boom. The deafening sound rang. Started the battle between the Revolutionary Army and Marine. Chapter 98. The dragon is frightened and forced seeking subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Celebration on the island. The battle has come to a critical moment. Although Momosuge and Cha Dolphin were crushed, Marine did not give up, but launched a more fierce attack. Die me! Akainu roared. A huge column of molten slurry spouted out, twisting the air, and slammed into Whitebeard. Whitebeard was not easy at this time. After all, the opponents are 2 Admiral and 2 Alternates Admiral. Even if his observation hockey grows, he cannot crush the 4. Stabbed. Raise the big knife and cut it down. A sharp light flashed, containing the power of shock. This knife directly split Akainu's molten slurry, then turned into white light and continued to rush away. Not good. Akainu's eyes widened. Use your whole body strength and want to avoid yourself. But before he moved, he found that Whitebeard's knife seemed to block the surroundings. No matter where he hid, he would be hit. At this critical moment, he roared angrily. Terrifying lava erupted all over. No longer evade, but head on. Shabu raised his arm violently. The molten smelt that reached the ultimate temperature broke out completely. Meteor volcano. There was a roar. A huge lava fist was launched into the air, and then fell like a meteor. This is Akainu's strongest blow. Act now, only to defeat Whitebeard. The 2 attacks collided in midair, and the turbulent energy spread. Boom. There was a loud roar. The whole island shook and rumbling. Advertisement. A strong hurricane swept the surrounding area, causing the vice admiral and the captain to ram back again and again. After the hurricane dissipated, people hurriedly looked around. A figure was found flying out of the smoke and dust, hitting the ground hard, smashing the ground into a deep pit. Dingqing watched. I found that the one who flew out was one Akainu. At this time, Akainu no longer has Admiral Majesty. The clothes on his body became tattered, and a hideous scar appeared on his chest, blood flowing from it, dyeing the clothes red. Damn it! He wanted to struggle to stand up. But the injury on his body was too serious, and he ran with his steps and fell to his knees. The pain came and made him tremble all over. Faced with Whitebeard's strongest blow. Even if Akainu is Admiral, he is seriously injured. Not an opponent at all. Although Admiral teamed up, Whitebeard is extremely smart. When fighting, he often defends against other Admiral, and then find one person to fight with all his strength. Why is this guy so cunning? Unless Admiral can fight hard at a point in time and severely injured Whitebeard, otherwise they will not be able to take Whitebeard. Marine Vice Admiral people talked a lot. Whitebeard. Akainu stared at Whitebeard in embarrassment, with a furious look on his face. Since becoming Admiral, this is the first time he has experienced such setbacks. After losing again and again, not only was his arm cut off, but he almost died just now. While this made him angry, it also produced a kind of weakness. But he is a determined man after all. He immediately resisted the pain on his body and struggled to stand up, as if he still wanted to fight. Sakazuki Admiral. A hint of worry flashed in T. Dolphin's eyes. Anyone with a discerning eye can tell that Akainu was seriously injured. If the fighting continues, it may be really life-threatening. Marine must win. Advertisement. Akainu growled. It's live broadcast now. If he can't win the victory, what is His Majesty? And once this battle fails, as Admiral, he will definitely be ridiculed and condemned by the people. He is most concerned about face. In any case, this result cannot be accepted. Do it. Momosuke drank tenderly. The long sword slashed out, and the huge slash tore the ground and rushed towards Whitebeard. T. Dolphin and Kizaru did not hesitate anymore and resorted to the strongest methods. Dark Hound. Akainu roared. The molten slurry emerged and turned into a huge pillar of fire. The two Admiral and Quasi-Admiral attacked again, and the power was even more terrifying than before. Goo la la la. Whitebeard was not afraid, but instead laughed loudly. Crossed his hands in front of him, slamming heavily on the air on both sides. Boom. The power of shock exploded. The attack launched by the four collided with the shock wave, and a huge explosion suddenly occurred. The rumbling sound exploded, causing a strong hurricane. Zero seeking flowers, zero. It's now. Whitebeard's eyes condensed, and he rushed away quickly against the hurricane. Even if the hurricane was strong, and bloodstains were drawn on him, he ignored it. Under this crazy behavior, he rushed to Akainu. Then under the horrified gaze of the opponent, he grabbed the opponent's head and lifted it up high. The other side. The dragon galloped across the island, his eyes flickering. In addition to declaring war on the world government, he came to celebrate the island for another purpose. Advertisement. That is, since the results of the battle on the top appeared, he knew how strong Whitebeard was. Be good with Whitebeard. If you can get along well with such a master, it will definitely be beneficial to your future plans. So he decided long ago to be a leader in this war. In this way, the Revolutionary Army will be helpful to Whitebeard. When they encounter difficulties in the future, with Whitebeard's character, they will never sit back and watch. I hope nothing will happen to Whitebeard. The dragon whispered. What he is most worried about now is Whitebeard failed to persist until he appeared, and lost to Marine. After all, the force of Marine's dispatch is not weak, and the world government is on the side to assist. So he wasn't sure if Whitebeard could hold on. Thinking of this, my steps quickened and my body turned into an afterimage. About 3 minutes later, the dragon arrived at the place where the two sides were fighting. But, as soon as his front foot fell, his back foot softened and he almost fell to the ground. Because, on the battlefield ahead, Whitebeard, who he thought might not be able to hold on, was holding Admiral Akainu with one hand. His face was full of ease, completely different from the bloody battle he thought. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark. Quote. Long was stunned, completely confused. I stood there motionless, wondering if there was a problem with my eyes, so I saw an illusion. Akainu, Admiral of Headquarters. Now, like a little chicken, Whitebeard's hand grabs his head. This is definitely not. Just kidding. And, Chapter 99. Declare war on the world government. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Could it be that I read it wrong? A daze flashed across Long's majestic face. Raising his hand, he rubbed his eyes subconsciously. But afterwards, this is still the case. Whitebeard picked up Akainu like a chicken, as if the opponent was not an admiral at all, but an ordinary seaman. Hiss. Knowing that he hadn't had any hallucinations, the dragon finally took a breath. He was still thinking about it before. Can Whitebeard support him? Looking now, I found that Whitebeard didn't need his own help at all. Facing the siege of the two admiral and the two alternate admiral, not only did the wind fall, but Akainu was hanging up and fighting. Shocked. Come to my heart. Even if you know that Whitebeard has the world's most powerful strength. I was also taken aback by the scene before me. At the same time he hesitated, whether he wanted to make a move. Because even if it doesn't make a move, Whitebeard seems to be able to beat Marine. It's a mistake. Long gave a wry smile. His previous plan was to help Whitebeard and let Whitebeard owe himself a favor. It's good now. They don't use it at all. And with this powerful strength, it is not certain who owes someone favors in the next war. Boom. At this time, Whitebeard raised his fist. The light ball released terrible concussive power and smashed Akainu's head severely. Advertisement. Boom. A deafening sound rang. As Admiral, Akainu was punched into the ground. The force of strong shock erupted, punching a huge pit in the ground. Countless stone chips splashed, and the dust went straight into the sky. Akainu, who had been injured, suddenly vomited blood, with angry eyes, and became extremely dim. Experienced injury again and again. Even if Akainu resisted the beating again, he was seriously injured. Sakazuki Admiral, Momoshiki and Cha Dolphin exclaimed. I can't let you kill him. Kizaru's tone was still weird, with a serious look on his face. Although the paddling does not want to work hard. But I also know that this battle is conducted in the form of live broadcast. If so many people see Whitebeard and let Whitebeard kill Akainu, the majesty of Marine will be completely lost. He, Admiral, also has to take responsibility. With that, he lifted his foot. Call out. A golden light flashed and came to Whitebeard in an instant. Kick at the speed of light. Kicked with a golden kick. This blow did not show mercy, it seemed extremely powerful. At the same time, Momoshiki and Cha Dolphin also reacted. The two sides looked at each other and launched a fierce attack on both sides of Whitebeard. Boom. The offensive power of the three is impressive. A violent explosion caused heavy smoke and dust. Kizaru also took this opportunity to grab the seriously injured Akainu and disappeared in a flash. Goo la la la. Advertisement. Seeing this, Whitebeard was not angry, but stared straight ahead. I saw the front position, a bright card emerged. With a move of the hand, it appeared in the palm of the hand. A new card you got after seriously hurting Akainu. Speaking and took a look. Experience copy. Use this card when playing against others, you can specify to copy an opponent's non-fruit ability. Non-fruit ability. Whitebeard thought for a while. If it only limits the ability of the fruit, then the range of this card will be larger. Just like the alternate Admiral Momoshiki, just playing against him. If he wants, he can use this card to replicate Momoshiki's swordsmanship. Try again after the war is over. Saying put the card away. He already understood the role of the card. But whether Akainu, Kizaru or two alternates Admiral, there is nothing for him to copy. Momoshiki's swordsmanship is good though. But it was not strong enough for him to use the card. So it's better to put the card away. If you encounter Hawkeye or other masters in the future, it will not be too late to use this card. Phew. The breeze is blowing. The smoke dissipated, revealing Whitebeard's figure. But at this time, people did not continue to look at Whitebeard, but looked in another direction. Dragon. Monkey D. Dragon. The leader of the Revolutionary Army was called the most vicious prisoner in the world by the world government. They besieged Whitebeard just now and haven't noticed the arrival of the dragon. It stopped for a while, and suddenly found the existence of the dragon. Revolutionary Army. Why is this man here? Monkey D. Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, is here now, isn't it? Advertisement. The generals of Marine looked shocked. The Revolutionary Army is the #1 enemy of the world government. Usually, I can't find it by digging 3 feet, but now I take the initiative to show up, which makes the Marine generals have a bad feeling. After all, Whitebeard is the enemy of Marine, and so is the Revolutionary Army. The Whitebeard pirates have given them a headache. If the Revolutionary Army still joins the battle, can this war be won? Goo la la la. It turned out to be the kid from the Garp family. Does the Revolutionary Army also want to participate in this war? Whitebeard rolled his head and looked at the dragon in the robe. The torrent of the times has come, and the Revolutionary Army naturally cannot continue to hide. Long stepped forward and stood in front of everyone. After a short thought just now, he made a decision. That is, regardless of whether Whitebeard can win the war, the Revolutionary Army will come out. After all, I have come, and I can't go back the same way. And even if you can't make Whitebeard owe favors, you should use this opportunity to have a good relationship with Whitebeard. 5.0 Because Whitebeard is the strongest person in the world. The Revolutionary Army has a good relationship with such masters, and there are only advantages and no disadvantages. Has the Revolutionary Army arrived on the island? It's really scary. Kizaru stretched his tone. They are also going to participate in the war. This is a big trouble. Momoshiki frowned. Monkey D. Dragon, what do you want to do? Akainu was furious. Unexpectedly, the Revolutionary Army would appear at this time. I have just said that the Revolutionary Army cannot sit back and watch the torrent of the times. Long Shen said, and then glanced at the Marine generals. He seemed to say to the people present, and he seemed to say to the people all over the world. So, I am here this time just to declare war on the world government. Chapter 100. Issue the command to kill demons. _back_ios_new previous chapter next chapter _forward_ios. Advertisement. Declare war on the world government. Zhengzheng's voice sounded and spread throughout the world through live broadcast. General Marine, Sabayati Archipelago people, Holy Land Mariajoy 5 Elders, New World Forces. All those who watched the live broadcast showed horror on their faces. The Revolutionary Army declared war on the world government. What did they want to do? Did they want to subvert the world? The Revolutionary Army in the turbulent world and the man more terrifying than the devil appeared together on the island of celebration. Could it be that they have been in contact with each other a long time ago? Or that the Revolutionary Army was ruled by Whitebeard? People all over the world are terrified. The appearance of Whitebeard and the dragon reminds people of too many things. I wonder if the Whitebeard pirate group has long been united with the Revolutionary Army. This expo is a meeting held by the two deliberately. The purpose is to declare war on the world government and reduce the strength of Marine at the same time. I thought of this possibility. People all over the world are suffering from cold. There is a feeling that the sky is falling. The world is going to be in chaos. Rayleigh looked up at the two people on the big screen, and said with some emotion. Before the war on the top began, he had a foreboding that a war that would sweep the world might happen in the next 10 years. But when the top war broke out, Whitebeard won. He advanced the prediction of world war by several years. But with the appearance of the dragon, let him understand that the world is about to be in turmoil. The Whitebeard pirates and the Revolutionary Army are both serious concerns of the world government. Now that the two sides have met, and they have openly declared war on the world government, the temperament of the world government will certainly not be easily let go. Advertisement. Once the world government becomes true, the world will definitely be in chaos. Do you want to come back? Shaki laughed. Forget it, my old bone can't stand the toss. Rayleigh shook his head, then smiled, and it is a good thing to witness the development of history as a bystander. When he was young, he might participate in this war desperately. But as we grow older, there is no longer the passion of previous years. A certain sea area in New World. A huge 3-gun sailboat sailed in the sea, reaching the ultimate speed. Mom, I didn't expect that the Revolutionary Army would also appear, and it would declare war on the world government. Sen sneered on the aunt's face. After the Kata Curry incident, she has decided to declare war on Whitebeard, and is now heading to the Celebration Island with her children. Prepare to join Marine against Whitebeard. However, after seeing the emergence of the Revolutionary Army, she changed her attention. Mom, do we have to unite with Marine after we arrive at the Festival Island? Perospero knew his mother very well. As soon as I heard that kind of laughter, I knew my mother had changed her attention. Hold on. The aunt smiled gloomily. Before, she said that she united with Marine and wanted to rely on this opportunity to destroy the Whitebeard pirate group in one fell swoop. But with the arrival of the Revolutionary Army, she saw better opportunities. That is to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Waiting for Whitebeard, the Revolutionary Army and Marine to lose all three, it will not be too late for the ant pirates to appear again. At that time, no matter which side wins, it will not be their opponent. Yes. Advertisement. Perospero was relieved. In fact, he didn't agree to unite with Marine at all. Because uniting with Marine is all about seeking skin with tigers. Once the Whitebeard pirates were wiped out and the balance of New World was broken, Marine's next target was definitely the ant pirates and beasts pirates. Not like it is now. The hatred was attracted by the Whitebeard pirates. There is no time to talk to the other three emperors. On the warship, Sengoku's face was extremely heavy. The emergence of the Revolutionary Army undoubtedly added a shadow to the war. After hearing that long declared war on the world government, he couldn't say a word, even more shocked. Puff, ha ha ha, it's really my son, dare to say such things at this time. Garp gave a thumbs up. You bastard, it's not the time to be happy now, do you know how much trouble your son has caused? Sengoku growled angrily. This is the Revolutionary Army. In a sense, it is even more dangerous than the Whitebeard pirates. Although the Whitebeard pirate group made the world government lose its majesty, it is a pirate after all and has no idea of overthrowing the world government. The Revolutionary Army is different. These people are totally rebellious. Want to dig the foundations of the world government, but also want to eliminate celestial dragons. The degree of danger is even greater than that of the Whitebeard pirates. Your son is now running on the small island, and he is also declaring that he is going to war against the world government in front of people all over the world. It is conceivable that after today, what will happen in this world? Sengoku's face was solemn. Advertisement. Then what are you going to do? Garp scratched his nostrils, not caring at all. After the top of the war, he made up his mind to retire. Today's battle may be the last battle he participated in. It seems I can only use Buster Call. Sengoku took a deep breath. 837 did not want to give this order at first. Because Buster Call is indeed too cruel. But with the arrival of the Revolutionary Army, it has been unable to take care of so much. Once the Revolutionary Army and the Whitebeard pirates join forces, the consequences could be disastrous. Thinking of this, I immediately dialed the phone and gave instructions. Put all the PX-0 prepared by the world government into the island to prevent the island pirates from escaping, and at the same time let Kuzan retreat immediately. Tell them that they only have 5 minutes to retreat. After 5 minutes, I will launch a buster call. 50 warships and PX-0 will bomb the island indiscriminately. Sengoku's tone was extremely cold. Although 5 minutes is not long, it is not too short. In the case that the seamen have already withdrawn, the strength of Vice Admiral and Admiral is completely sufficient. As for whether the people of the world government can leave, that's not what he can care about. This order was issued, and the other end of the phone worm was stunned. It took a long time before I hurriedly responded. I hope Buster Call can solve all the troubles. Sengoku sat weakly and sighed deeply. If Buster Call still doesn't work, then he has no choice but to watch the world war come. Chapter 101. Ace, long time no see. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Celebration on the island. With the addition of the dragon, the battle between the two sides fell into a stalemate. Even Akainu, who has a fierce temper and insists on absolute justice, didn't call for the elimination of Whitebeard and the dragon as before. Because with the arrival of the dragon, the strength of Whitebeard's side was greatly improved. Rushing a fence is not necessarily an opponent. But soon, this stalemate was broken. I saw a Commodore running from a distance, his face full of dignity. Marshal Sengoku ordered all Marine officers to evacuate the island within 5 minutes. The general shouted as soon as he arrived. What? The faces of all Marine generals changed drastically. Their surprise was not the withdrawal order, but the knowledge that Sengoku was about to use the last hole cards. Withdraw. Crane Vice Admiral drank, then turned and left without any hesitation. The other Vice Admiral also quickly pushed his opponent away, followed behind the Crane Vice Admiral, and ran to the beach as if fleeing. Has it started? Aokiji looked in the direction of the warship, and then said to the Kizaru group, let's evacuate. Kizaru nodded. No longer entangled with Whitebeard, he turned and left. Akainu, who was thinking about revenge before, was inexplicably quiet, and did not hesitate when he turned and left. It's just a while. The Admiral and Vice Admiral from Marine walked cleanly. Advertisement. Daddy, they. A look of doubt flashed in Marco's eyes. These guys don't know that they are not Dad's opponents, so are they scared? Ace smiled. Ha 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 ha. Possible. Joes nodded and laughed. So we won this war. Beasta put away the long sword. When this word fell, all the captains' eyes lit up. If this is the case, the reputation of the Whitebeard pirates will surely skyrocket again. Goo la la la. Don't underestimate Marine. Whitebeard smiled calmly. Regardless of what they played with Marine, they didn't actually gain an advantage. On the other hand, the Marine side has not yet deployed all its forces, neither the Marshal Sengoku nor the Hero Garp nor the power of the world government have appeared. If you continue to fight, after the world government clears the remaining pirates, it will definitely free up its hands to deal with them. It's really unpredictable what the situation will be at that time. Father, what do you mean? Marco's heart beat, and a bad premonition emerged. According to Marine's character, it is estimated that Buster Call is about to be launched, ready to destroy all the pirates on the island through indiscriminate bombing. Whitebeard said. The same is true in the original book. If it weren't for Luffy to destroy the Eternal Pointer and stop the Buster Call, I am afraid that a lot of supernovae will die on the island. Buster Call. Everyone's complexion changed. Buster Call is famous in this world. Advertisement. There have been countless tragedies due to Buster Call over the years. No matter what, leave here first. Whitebeard did not continue. Once Marine issued the command to kill demons, the warship would continue bombing until the island sinks. So this is not a safe place, you must evacuate as soon as possible. Yes. The captain nodded. But this word just fell. There was a terrifying roar from all directions. People looked towards the sky and found black shells falling from the sky, dense as raindrops. Boom, boom, boom. Countless fires suddenly appeared, and the island trembled violently. The terrifying energy raged around, causing Marco and others to hurriedly block it. Here we go. The dragon's face changed slightly. I didn't expect Sengoku to do it so quickly. Before the Marine generals evacuated, they began to bomb the island, regardless of whether they were alive or dead. Mr. Dragon, Marine has surrounded the entire island. At this moment, Sabo, who was holding a steel pipe, ran out of breath, anxious on his face. Moreover, the world government has also dropped hundreds of war weapons on the island, and it is undergoing a devastating bombing. Hiss. Everyone took a breath when they heard this. If it's just Buster Call, they are not particularly worried. After all, it is not difficult to break through with artillery fire. But now that there are hundreds of PX-0s, it's different. These war weapons were arranged around, enough to stop them for a while, allowing artillery fire to destroy the entire island. And, in addition to artillery fire and PX-0, the evacuated Vice Admiral and Admiral will definitely guard them on the warship, preventing everyone from boarding the ship. So the current situation is more dangerous than imagined. Advertisement. Mr. Long, what should I do now? Sabo asked hurriedly, and then added. Because Marine launched the buster call, so I asked everyone to come here, I guess it will be there soon. You did very well. The dragon nodded, and then looked at Whitebeard. I have a way to leave this island, everyone, come with us. This evacuation is a good opportunity. For him, who has always wanted to befriend Whitebeard, he won't let it go easily. Whitebeard did not refuse, knowing that the Revolutionary Army is not strong alone. But every cadre and army commander has a unique ability, which may allow a group of people to go to the sea safely. Boom, boom, boom. When several people discussed how to leave, the artillery fire of Buster Call, Qinhaojiao, became more intense, and countless shells flew towards here. After falling to the ground, huge pits were blasted out of the ground. Countless fire lights danced, lighting the surroundings. First stop the artillery fire in the sky. Whitebeard leapt up and waved his broad knife, splitting the falling gunfire in half. Together help father. With flames burning in his arms, Marco rushed to the sky. The other captains reacted immediately and used their own stunts to help clear the cannonballs falling from the sky. Let's do it too, Long said. Clear. Sabo nodded and swept the steel pipe in his hand. But I don't know if it was intentional. He jumped right next to Ace, a smile appeared on his face, and he spit out a word while turning his head. It's been a long time since Ace. Meow. Chapter 102. The Blood-Based World Government. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ace. Sabo looked at his brother, whom he had not seen for many years, with emotion, joy, excitement and memories in his eyes. Ace swinging the fire fist turned his head slightly. After seeing Sabo's face, my heart beat fiercely, and a sense of familiarity emerged in my heart. Are you Sabo? He yelled out loudly, his eyes filled with incredulity. Sabo. A name hidden deep in memory. It was also a name that he never wanted to mention. But the person who was confirmed dead that year appeared in front of him. This left Ace sluggish in place for a while, even if the shells came directly, they did not block. Careful. Sabo smiled brightly and said that he waved the steel pipe and smashed the cannonball rushing towards Ace. I know you have a lot of doubts, but this is not the time to speak, I will explain to you and Luffy after I leave here. He rushed out and swept away the shells. Are you really Sabo? Ace finally recovered, his face was full of excitement. But after saying this, he calmed down again 837, and the flames burned on his fists again. As Sabo said, now is not the time for small talk, first deal with the matter before you. He shook his fist and crushed the shells. When a group of people resisted the shells, the cadres and commanders of the Revolutionary Army finally arrived. Finally here, Mori, take us to the beach. Long Shen said. Clear. Mori, the commander of the Western Army, who was huge and covered in hair, nodded. Advertisement. He waved his fork and pressed it to the ground. I saw the ground ups and downs, everyone present instantly disappeared, and the originally undulating ground also returned to calm. Boom, boom, boom. The shells continued to fall. But the artillery shells that have lost their targets can only hit the ground, blasting the ground out of large pits. Long time no see. Under the ground, a cave closed on all sides appeared. A group of Whitebeard pirates and Revolutionary Army are inside the cave. Murray has the ability to control the ground. We can rely on this ability to go to the sea. When that happens, we can leave by breaking through the blockade of Marine. Long explained ABFA, one sentence. It's really a peculiar ability. Ace knocked on the ground and found that it was harder than steel. Even if the artillery shells on the ground keep falling, they cannot explode this enclosed space. Mori, let's get started. Long said. Give it to me. Mori grinned. Swing the harpoon and run quickly. The originally enclosed space also moves with it. After just a while, it disappeared in its original position. On the ground, as Whitebeard and others disappeared, several figures appeared. It disappeared. Wearing a white coat and mask, Lucci's face changed drastically. After the Battle of Enies Lobby, he was summoned by CP0 and became a member of CP0. This time I was sent to the Celebration Island. The task is to monitor Whitebeard and prevent Whitebeard from escaping. Unexpectedly, under the gaze of so many people, Whitebeard disappeared, and could never be found again. Advertisement. It seems to have sneaked into the ground. Guy whispered. Ground. Lucci stepped on it and found that there was nothing special at all except the big pit that was bombed out by the shells. Can you find them? CP0 and CP9 are different, there are all kinds of abilities here. Guy answered the Kaido that was not asked, saying that he immediately chased in one direction, seeming to know the location of Whitebeard and others. In fact, it doesn't matter whether CP0 or CP9. Most of the members inside are those who are capable of animal fruit. And everyone has a pronoun. Guy nickname is Mastiff. Marine warship. All admiral and vice admiral have been evacuated. And he was standing on the deck of a warship, looking at the small island that was constantly bombed. Hundreds of PX0, the world government really has lost money. Kizaru said in a weird tone. PXO is not strong for masters. But for ordinary pirates, it is a nightmare existence. Each PX0 is the cost of a warship. Hundreds of them appear on the island today. In other words, the world government paid hundreds of warships to eliminate Whitebeard and other pirates on the island. Certainly. This is not the point. The point is that the world government has no plans to reclaim PX0 at all. Prepare to use these war weapons to stop Whitebeard, and then let Whitebeard and PX0 sink into the sea together. So, this time the world government has laid down its blood. If it fails, I am afraid that even 5 elders will hurt. Whitebeard shouldn't be able to escape, right? Advertisement. Momosuke couldn't help but said. I don't know why, she always has a bad feeling that things are not so simple. No one can survive under Buster Call. Absolute confidence flashed in Akainu's eyes. Hundreds of PX-0s were bombed regardless of damage. 50 warships were surrounded by the small island for indiscriminate destruction. In addition, Admiral checks at the beach. This kind of power is enough to wipe out 2-4 Emperor's regiments. So he didn't think Whitebeard could escape from the island at all. Don't be careless, the other party is the strongest person in the world. Aokiji's face was solemn. At the time of the war, Marine was equally confident, but the final result was a disastrous defeat. The current situation is so similar to the original one. Even if he can come out alive, he will still be seriously injured. Will he be able to escape our level then? Akainu snorted coldly. Indeed. The other vice admiral nodded. Hundreds of PX-0, plus 50 warships. This is equivalent to hundreds of warships bombing the island together, and this kind of firepower can sink the island in at most 5 to 10 minutes. Under such firepower, no one can escape. But, at the moment when these words fell, people hear the voice of the phone bug ringing. When Sengoku answered the call, his face changed. What did you say? Whitebeard and others have escaped and are absconding to the beach. Want us to stop them immediately? Exclamation passed into the ears of every general. The people who thought that Whitebeard could not escape just now suddenly widened their eyes, and their faces were full of astonishment, wondering if they had heard it wrong. Chapter 103. Whitebeard's Heroism. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Marine was dispatched. Everyone, including the Marshal, went in the direction provided by CP0. This battle is about Marine's majesty. In order to win, Marine dispatched the strongest lineup, and the world government even invested in hundreds of PX-0. If this makes Whitebeard run away, both Marine and world government will become laughing stocks. So no matter what, they will stop it. A group of generals came to the direction provided by CP0 at the fastest speed, and then waited there early. Mori, who was moving, didn't even know Dao's whereabouts had been exposed. When I arrived at the beach, waved the harpoon, a big hole suddenly appeared in the ground, and everyone floated up. Finally escaped the center of the island. As long as we board the mobile, we can leave here. Luffy shook his fist, quite happy. But after saying this, no one responded. A little depressed, he looked at Marco and Ace and found that there was no joy at all on their faces, instead they were full of solemnity. What's wrong? Luffy was taken aback. Didn't it escape? Why do you still have this expression? You fool, look ahead. Ace twitched at the corner of his mouth, wishing to punch his brother, it was really shameful. Luffy looked up. But it's okay not to look at it, and I was shocked when I saw it. Marshal Sengoku, Hero Garp, 3 Admiral, 2 Alternate Admiral, many Marine Vice Admiral. Marine's most powerful force, gathered in front of him at this time. Staring straight at them. Advertisement. How come? Luffy was dumbfounded. Didn't you say you escaped? Why do you see so many Marines as soon as they appear? I want to know, what is going on? Marco looked at the Revolutionary Army on the side, his face a little ugly. It's not for him to be suspicious. After all, anyone who saw so many enemies when he came up would doubt whether the dragon was an undercover agent. The face of the dragon changed drastically. He did not expect such a thing to happen. As soon as he came out, he encountered all of Marine's combat power. It's good now. Not only did Whitebeard owe favor. On the contrary, there is a possibility of enmity. I made a mistake. I didn't expect Mori's ability to be discovered. He is too confident. I thought I could easily leave here with Mori's ability. But I never thought about how the world government, as the most powerful force ruling the world, could not have 3 strikes. So the breakout failed. Keita coolly said coldly. It seems that we still have to rely on ourselves. Only by defeating these Marine soldiers can we leave. Marco said solemnly. Now is not the time to hold the Revolutionary Army accountable. Facing Marine's eye-catching eyes, they must quickly break through. I never counted on them from the beginning. Bullet's complexion remained unchanged. The dragon's face twitched, but he was unable to refute it. Advertisement. The Revolutionary Army is indeed cheating, and everyone has to fight another battle. Whitebeard, you have nowhere to escape. At this moment, Sengoku in front of me stood up with an extremely heavy expression. Here's where all the marine forces are gathered. There are also 50 warships on the bay, and hundreds of PX-0 are coming here, so surrender. Said and waved. The surrounding generals quickly dispersed and approached Whitebeard in an arc. Goo la la la. Whitebeard didn't pay any attention to this. Instead, he raised his broad knife, hit the ground hard, and laughed loudly. Sengoku, my head is here, come and get it if you want. Boom. The words fall. The majestic breath rose to the sky, raging like a storm. The dark clouds in the sky were affected and gathered together, and purple lightning faintly passed through the dark clouds. As the breath spread, the generals stagnated. It seemed that there was a big mountain weighing down in their hearts, making them short of breath. What a terrible breath. Momosegi's face changed slightly. As a candidate for admiral, she was also affected by this breath. Although we have gathered the strongest strength, don't be careless, the other party is the strongest man in the world. Aokiji said solemnly. 0 seeking flowers, 0. He who played against Whitebeard knows how strong Whitebeard is. And I don't know if it was his illusion. I feel that after the war, Whitebeard's strength has increased again, and it has reached the level of crushing admiral. How long has it been since the end of the war? Just over a month. This kind of growth occurred in more than a month, which shocked him. This guy, don't you give up. Sengoku gritted his teeth. Advertisement. I thought I could blow Whitebeard's confidence by saying that. Unexpectedly, Whitebeard didn't care at all. On the contrary, a terrible breath was released, which made the generals panic. Puff ha ha ha. When has Whitebeard been scared? Hasn't he been like this all the time? Garp held his belly and laughed, not surprised. No matter what, Whitebeard must be left today. Sengoku drank. With a wave of his hand, the marine general who surrounded him immediately moved his hand. Goo la la la. Looking at the rushing general, Whitebeard smiled lowly, then turned his head slightly, revealing sharp eyes, as if looking straight at everyone. Next we will face all the power of marine. Sons, are you afraid? The words fell silent, and the audience fell silent. But soon, a roar came from many captains. Father, how could we be afraid? No matter who the enemy is, and no matter how strong the enemy is, we will never let it go easily if we dare to be an enemy of the old man. As long as I can fight side by side with my father, no matter what I face, I won't be afraid. Father, go to war. The crowd roared again and again. Goo la la la. When Whitebeard heard it, he laughed loudly and turned his body abruptly. The big knife in his hand pointed at the Marines. If this is the case, let go and let everyone in the world know that no matter who the opponent is, we will still win in the end. A Whitebeard pirate group. Oh, the captains roared angrily. Bursts of aura rose to the sky and slammed into General Marine. The final battle of the second major event. Breaking out. And. Chapter 104. Shock Fruit Awakening. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Goo la la la. Sengoku, if you want to take my head, it depends on whether you have this ability. Whitebeard laughed. He raised his fist and punched the ground hard. Boom. There was a loud roar. The shocking force that was terrible to ultimate spread, the ground split instantly, and then it shook violently. Whitebeard caused the earthquake. The generals became vigilant. But as soon as I said this, I saw the ground explode. Pieces of sharp gravel rushed up from the ground, flying like bullets, too dense to imagine. No, avoid it. Sengoku's face changed drastically, and he yelled hurriedly. He immediately jumped up. His body was covered with armament hockey. When the other generals saw this, their discoloration suddenly changed, and they dared to rush forward wherever they were. Puff ha ha ha, as expected of you, Whitebeard. A look of admiration appeared on Garp's face. He found that Whitebeard's use of shock fruit was getting more and more terrifying. Just like the attack just now. It is to use shock waves to smash the ground. The crushed stone was extremely sharp, and then rushed up under the force of the shock, not weaker than a bullet. Certainly, none of this is critical. The key is that the rubble is extremely dense, like thousands of bullets flying together. This method sounds simple, but it is difficult to do. First of all, the strength of the shock must be controlled to prevent the stones from being completely crushed. Advertisement. Then turn the rubble into sharp little stones. The precision contained therein is unimaginable. So much so that he was shocked. It's really an old man, he turned the situation around with one punch. Marco saw this with pride. Then the arms burned with blue flames, and the body rose into the sky, kicking towards the generals. Let's do it together and help Dad. Joes yelled. The light of diamonds crawled all over the body, rushing like a fierce beast. Huh, what an endless battle. Crocodile snorted coldly with his cigar in his mouth, but despite that, the movement in his hands did not stop, and his body turned into a round of sandstorm raging around. Only by winning this war can we leave safely. Excitement flashed in Bullet's eyes. For others, facing a war may be worried or afraid. But for him, there is only happiness. And the stronger the opponent, the more excited he is. Speaking of rushing out violently, he directly found Sengoku, seeming to want to complete the battle that was not completed during the war. Bullet, you, as a member of the Roger crew, got on Whitebeard's ship. Don't you think this is betrayal? Besides, you are so powerful, you are willing to succumb to others. Sengoku blocked while lobbying. It seems that I want to use this method to divorce the relationship between Whitebeard and Bullet. The Roger pirate group has long been disbanded. And I'm Whitebeard now. Bullet yelled, waved his fist, and slammed hard at Sengoku. He was indeed a crew member of the Roger pirates. But the Roger pirates had been disbanded a long time ago, so it's not a betrayal to get on anyone's ship. More importantly, he is willing to bet and lose. Since we lost to Whitebeard, we must abide by the agreement. This agreement is until he defeats Whitebeard. Advertisement. Boom. Sun hit Sengoku with a punch. Although Sengoku put up his hands to block it, his smashed arm was still numb. And after hearing what Bullet said, he knew that his divorce plan had failed, and Bullet had to abide by the agreement more than imagined. There is no other way but to attack with gritted teeth. Do it. At this time, the 3 Admiral and the 2 alternate Admiral also surrounded Whitebeard. Whitebeard, you don't want to escape today. Akainu growled. Marine's strongest combat power is gathered here, and there is world government support behind it. So in his opinion, Whitebeard must die. Give up resistance. Aokiji spoke in a deep voice, and a cold chill appeared on his body. Goo la la la. You guys, it's too early to take my head. Whitebeard smiled calmly. Go together. The T-Dolphin drank, and immediately started to speak. Boom. A loud sound appeared. The fiery flames soared into the sky, and the battle between the two sides started 0. Let's do it together to help the old man reduce the pressure. The 8th team leader Namur saw everyone fighting together, clenched his fists, and rushed towards a vice admiral. But before I could take a step, there was a voice in my ear. Namuel. Namur was taken aback. I found that this voice was the voice of my own father. But when he looked up, he found that Dad was fighting Admiral Kizaru and didn't speak at all. Advertisement. Is it because I heard it wrong? He wondered. But before the thought fell, the voice came again. I'm using vibration waves to transmit sound to you, only you can hear it. You dive into the sea right now and drive the Moby Dick here. War. Whitebeard's voice sounded. Father. That Muir looked at Whitebeard dumbfounded. Sure enough, I saw Whitebeard turning his head slightly and smiling to himself. At this time, he finally determined that it was not an illusion. It's that the old man is really talking to himself. Thinking of this, the body was agitated. While everyone was fighting, he sneaked to the beach and dived into the water with a thud. The war is over, Whitebeard whispered. The order just now was indeed given by him. It's over. As for how 5.0 did it, it is naturally related to shock fruit. Each fruit capacity is divided into 2 stages. The first is the initial awakening stage. As long as you eat the fruit, you can use your abilities. The second is the second awakening stage. This stage can be called true awakening. Once you reach this stage, you can influence things outside of yourself through your ability. He is known as the strongest man in the world. The fruit naturally awakened. Shock fruit's awakening has many magical uses. Just use the ground to make stone bullets, and sound transmission is one of them. Sound travels through the medium, such as air, solid, liquid. And he used this principle to combine the sound and the vibration wave, and then spread the sound through the vibration wave to accurately transmit the sound into Namur's ears. 2%. Chapter 105. Whitebeard's Terrible Blow. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whitebeard, die to me. Akainu rushed out in a roar. The only arm was filled with molten lava, and finally turned into a pillar of lava fire resembling a dog's head and slammed into Whitebeard. Fang Gurren. The blazing high temperature spreads and distorts the light. From this we can know how terrible the blow was. Magma Kid. Whitebeard smiled calmly. This time he didn't spend much time, but raised his arm and spread his 5 fingers. What does he want to do? People saw this stunned. Usually Whitebeard uses the shock fruit ability to fight back with hockey, broadsword, or swinging his fist. But now Whitebeard seems to be different. Pretend to be a fool. Akainu snorted coldly. Immediately increase the strength, so that the power of Fang Gurren increased by 1 more point. In the blink of an eye, the molten flame rushed to Whitebeard. 30 centimeters. 20 centimeters. 10 centimeters. When only 10 centimeters away from Whitebeard's arm, a touch of joy finally appeared on Akainu's face. Although I don't know what Whitebeard is doing. But in his opinion, at such a close distance, Whitebeard absolutely cannot avoid it. Did you make it? Kizaru and others looked at each other. I wonder why Whitebeard would let Akainu hit him. But at the moment when these words fell, people saw Whitebeard slamming into the air, as if he had caught something. Smell. Click, click. The air instantly shattered, creating cracks. The rushing molten flame pillar suddenly exploded from the inside, turning into a little spark and disappearing. Advertisement. What? A look of surprise appeared on Aokiji's face. If Whitebeard just used the power of concussion to crush the molten fire pillar, he wouldn't think much. But this time the power of the shock erupted from inside the magma. This has to surprise him. Because the abilities of various fruits are generally released by themselves and then spread through the media. The same is true of Whitebeard's shocking power. It is released with double fists, which then causes tsunami, earthquake and air blast. But this time is different, just made it out of thin air. There is an essential difference between the two. Yo, it's really scary to create shock waves out of thin air. Kizaru's tone is still weird, but there is a deep surprise in the weird tone. Awakening. Momosugi frowned. It is beyond the scope of general ability to allow fruit ability to affect things outside of itself, and it can only be achieved by achieving awakening. Fruit ability awakens. Akainu's expression stagnated. The joy on his face disappeared instantly, and there was an inexplicable panic in his heart. Without using Whitebeard's awakening ability, he can defeat himself. Now Whitebeard using the power of awakening. How strong will it be? This idea emerged. Let him subconsciously. Damn it. Akainu reacted quickly, and a look of anger appeared on his face. He was frightened back by his own thought. This is simply a shame. The anger rose in his heart, so that he could no longer hold it back, and used Dark Hound amidst the roar. Boom. A fiery pillar of fire erupted. The ultimate heat scorched the surroundings, distorting the air. Advertisement. But this time it was the same as last time. Before the molten flame touched Whitebeard, it exploded. How can it be? Akainu's expression was stagnant, with an incredulous expression on his face. Take a step back. He couldn't believe that his attack would be useless at all. Sure enough, awakening. Kizaru and others completely confirmed, and the solemn color climbed onto their faces. Let's do it together. Aokiji drank low. The chill broke out on his body, and he rushed towards Whitebeard. Click, click, click. A thick layer of ice appeared on the ground instantly, and the temperature around it seemed to drop more than 10 degrees. Momosugi on the side also did not hesitate and cut down Jin Kunluo. Shabu. The bright slash appeared like a galaxy, tearing the earth instantly. Bakichang Guyu. A golden light flashed across Kizaru's body and came to the sky. Squeezed both hands and waved vigorously. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Numerous golden lights erupted, as dense as heavy rain. Gu la la la. Whitebeard laughed at this. Fists clenched and crossed in front of you. When many attacks rushed forward, they slammed heavily on the air on both sides. Boom. There was a loud roar. Cracks appeared in the air, and a terrible shock burst out. However, the power of this shock is different from before. In the past, it swept in a destructive posture. This time it spread in the form of water wave vibrations. Where the shock wave swept through, blocks of boulders rose up into the sky, and then turned into dust. Not good. Admiral's face changed drastically. Unexpectedly, the methods Whitebeard used would be so terrifying. Advertisement. Without even thinking about it, he retreated quickly. Boom. The loud noise finally roared. Billowing smoke rose into the sky, covering all the surroundings. When the breeze blows and the smoke dissipates, a terrifying scene appeared. A big pit appeared beside Whitebeard, and everything in the big pit disappeared. 3 admiral, alternate admiral, and many marine generals. 837. They all watched this scene blankly. Marco and other captains also stopped their movements, staring one by one. They are shocked. Extremely shocked. In the past, Whitebeard used the shock fruit ability to shatter the ground at best. But now it is. Wherever the shocking force passes, everything disappears. Whitebeard, who uses the fruit awakening ability, is so terrible to this extent. Sengoku was sweating coldly. Everything was wiped out with one punch. This kind of terrorism horrified even his marshal. If this hits a person, then it is still not possible to shake the person into flesh and completely die. Why does this old guy get better when he gets older? Garp scratched his nostrils, his face full of incredible. Can we really beat Whitebeard? The marine generals were a little lost. Whitebeard's performance is too strong. Strong enough to make everyone desperate. Everyone began to question whether the victory of this war would really belong to Marine. Father, that's too strong. Marco and the others also swallowed, and were frightened by Whitebeard's blow. So that it was stunned and shocked inexplicably. Completely wiped out. Chapter 106. The Victor of the War. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Gu la la la. Sengoku, this war should be over, the final victory belongs to me. After Whitebeard's blow, he didn't make another shot, but looked at his old friend. Sengoku was taken aback for a moment, and a bad premonition emerged in his heart. And after seeing the smile on Whitebeard's face, this premonition became stronger and stronger. Father. At this moment, a loud voice came. Everyone was alarmed and looked in the direction of the sound. I saw a huge whale-like ship approaching on the endless sea, and this huge ship was the Moby Dick. This is the Moby Dick. How is it possible? How could Whitebeard's ship appear here? Does Whitebeard have a back hand? The generals felt incredible. Before landing on the island, they deliberately found Whitebeard's mobile, and then used 3 warships to guard it. The supernova above was also grilled by seastone to prevent several people from escaping. Logically speaking, it is impossible for this to happen. The voice is, ha 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 ha, good Namur, now we can leave here. Good job. Compared to Marine's astonishment, the captains of Whitebeard cheered loudly. It was the old man who gave me the sound transmission and asked me to find the Moby Dick. Everyone hurry up to the beach and prepare to evacuate. Namuel on the boat shouted. Papa. The captains were suddenly stunned, and they looked at Whitebeard with another admiration. It turned out that Whitebeard had planned everything. That's why what happened now. Goo la la la. The sons are ready to evacuate. Whitebeard laughed. Clear. Advertisement. A group of captains responded in a sudden, quickly pushed back their opponents and gathered together. That Muir. Seeing this, Whitebeard raised his fist and hit the ground. Boom. The ear-splitting sound exploded. Cracks appeared one after another, and the ground underneath also soared into the sky under the influence of the shock wave, and slammed into a group of Marines. No, avoid it. Sengoku's face changed drastically, and a group of generals hurriedly avoided. Rocks flying across, accompanied by a huge roar, fell on the sea, setting off countless waves. It's now. Whitebeard squatted and jumped up. The captains also learned the same appearance and jumped high. At this time, Namur drove the Moby Dick in a straight line, and when Whitebeard and others landed, they landed on the bow. Damn it. Sengoku, who had just avoided, turned his head and saw this scene. His face was hard to see ultimate. In order to encircle Whitebeard, Marine put a huge effort into it. Not only has all the high-end combat power been assembled, the world government even invested hundreds of PX0 in one go. If all this allows Whitebeard to run away, the world government and Marine will definitely become a laughingstock, and they will no longer be able to suppress the turbulent world. We must not let Whitebeard escape and encircle all warships. Sengoku yelled. Yes. A group of generals responded with a bang. As Admiral, Aokiji rushed to the beach at the fastest speed, putting his hands on the sea. Ice Age. Drink in a low voice. Ultimate's frost spread, sweeping the entire sea. The surface of the sea, which was still surging, was instantly frozen by the ice, and it surged towards the mobile. Goo la la la. Boy Aokiji, I can't make you happy. Whitebeard laughed. Advertisement. Raised his fist sideways and punched hard into the air. Boom. The ear-splitting sound exploded. The terrible vibrating force erupted, shaking the entire sea. The sea surface that had been frozen instantly burst, and the water wave restarted and spread towards the small island. Exclamation mark. Quote. And it fell with Whitebeard's second punch. The shock wave drove the waves to slap on the Moby Dick. As the waves hit, the giant ship immediately moved backwards, slowly away from the island. Goo la la la. Sengoku, my old friend, goodbye here today. Whitebeard stood on the bow and laughed. Whitebeard. Sengoku roared loudly and was angry to ultimate. Failed. They failed again. Like the war on the top, even if the strongest forces were summoned, Whitebeard could not be kept, and instead let the opponent leave safely. And this failure was several times more severe than the last failure. It was cut off in the middle of the last live broadcast. But this time, live broadcast from start to finish. Now people all over the world have witnessed the incompetence of Marine and world government. Can imagine. What kind of turbulence will the world have after today? Marshal Sengoku, what should I do now? Vice Admiral's flying squirrel couldn't help asking. Marshal, never let Whitebeard run away, otherwise the consequences are unimaginable. Other Vice Admiral are also full of anxiety. Leave PX0 and 10 warships to continue the buster call, and the others will chase Whitebeard with me. Kaido with a green face on Sengoku's face. Advertisement. He knew that it would never be possible to catch up with the pursuit of warships. Because Whitebeard is the king of the sea. Shock fruit can easily cause a tsunami. If Whitebeard is not defeated on land, it is even more impossible at sea. But he can only do so now. At the same time, continue the buster call, try to eliminate some pirates, so as not to embarrass Marine and world government too much, and at the same time give the people an explanation. By the way, arrest Festa, the planner of this celebration, and never let him run away. Sengoku was full of grievances. If it weren't for Festa planning this celebration, the actions of Marine and world government will not be in the form of live broadcast, so they will not lose such a big face. So for this pusher, he can't wait to kill immediately. Yes. The generals nodded. The order was issued quickly. Festa, who planned this celebration, was arrested, and it is estimated that there will be no good end. The buster call that had been stopped also continued. Money is good, Zhao. Those pirates who were still on the island were immediately troubled and died in wailing. Fortunately, I made the right choice. At a certain location on the beach of the island, Luo Leng said in sweat. When Marine landed on the island, he made the best decision and followed Whitebeard. After Whitebeard and the Revolutionary Army leave, he immediately used the fruit power and came to the beach. Now all Marine's power is chasing Whitebeard, and there is no time for him. It just gave him a chance to escape. However, I can't leave now. Luo whispered. He wanted to take revenge on Ming, but knew that his own strength was not enough. If you want to accomplish your goals, you can only rely on other forces. If I can use Whitebeard's power, then Mr. Corzone's hatred. Thinking of this, his eyes became firmer again. Then he gritted his teeth and drove the ship to chase after the Moby Dick disappeared. Seedling. Chapter 107. Respect of the Dragon. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The Moby Dick. The captains are cheering. To escape under the siege of all marine forces, there are not many forces in the entire world that can do it. And this is not just once, but twice. 2 victories are enough to let people all over the world know. Who is the strongest in this world? Gu la la la. The sons have a banquet. Whitebeard stood on the bow, laughing loudly. Oh, the captains cheered loudly, then rushed to the cabin one by one, taking out the wine. The chef also prepares the food immediately. Soon, delicious food and wine with delicious flavors were in front of everyone. Be sure to have a great drink this time. Ha 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 ha. You are ashamed to say that last time you only drank 2 cylinders of wine and then poured it. Don't say so much, drink a few bowls first to celebrate this victory. The captains leaned back and laughed. As soon as the battle is over, the banquet will be held. Kid and others were dumbfounded. It took them less than 20 minutes to escape from the island. 837 Marine will never give up after this defeat. It is the most basic to send warships to pursue it. Isn't it a chance for Marine to have a banquet now? Really okay. The Revolutionary Army also looked at each other. It was the first time they encountered this kind of thing, and they dared to hold a banquet after being chased by Marine. This is really crazy. Advertisement. Hey, as long as you come to the sea, Dad is the only king. No one can beat Dad at sea. Ace laughed. Guru. Ace is right. Marine and the world government dare to catch up. Dad will have a way to sink all the warships he is pursuing. Joes took a sip of his wine and seemed indifferent. Yes. The other captains also ate and drank, seeming not to pay attention to the pursuers at all. Gu la la la. On this sea, no one is more free than me, even Marine can't do it, so celebrate with peace of mind. Whitebeard sat in the middle of the boat, grabbed the jug, took a sip and laughed. He has the ability of shock fruit, can easily set off waves. Dare to trouble him at sea. It is undoubtedly that the old birthday star hangs one by one and lives impatiently. If Marine really catches up, he can set off a huge wave and destroy the warship. As that's so, the group looked at each other, then sat down and joined the banquet. Sabo. At this time, Luffy's mouth was narrow, and he looked at Sabo with tears in his eyes. He was the same as Ace, but he didn't expect Sabo to be alive. Hey, Luffy, why do you always like to cry like before? Sabo chuckled. Let's talk about what happened first. Ace couldn't help asking. It's like this. Advertisement. Sabo fell into the memory and told the story again. After being attacked by celestial dragons, he fell into the water, and then encountered people from the Revolutionary Army. He was injured and lost his memory, so he joined the Revolutionary Army. The reason why I remember everything is because I saw Ace's name in the newspaper and only then recovered my memory. Later, Mr. Long said he was coming to the Celebration Island, so he came with him. When the two heard this, they suddenly realized. Then I saw Ace picking up the wine bowl, and a trace of emotion flashed on his face. Although I haven't seen it for so many years, but the trance has returned to the past, so cheers for the reunion of our 3 brothers. The relationship between brothers is that no matter how long they are apart or how long they haven't seen each other, they will still exist. In the future, whether we will separate or not, we must remember this moment ABFA. A nostalgic smile appeared on Sabo's face. Luffy nodded like a chicken pecking rice, her mouth slumped, so that her tears would not fall. Clang. The wine bowls touched together. At this moment, he went back to the past in a trance. The 3 truly agreed with each other and drank the wine of worship. In the memory, the 3 of them poured wine from one bowl to the next. It wasn't until he was flushed that he drank and talked about his ideals. I used to wonder if I should be born. But now I won't be confused anymore. I have a new family, so no matter what happens in the future, I will hold on tightly, follow my father, and keep sailing. Ace shouted drunkenly. After I become strong, I will go to Zoro and the others, and then become one piece. Luffy looked forward to it. A smirk appeared on his face when thinking of his long-lost partner. Have you all found your own way? Then I can't fall behind. I also want to help Mr. Long to fulfill that dream. Sabo laughed. Advertisement. The three of them raised their wine bowls again and bumped into each other. Luffy Kid is your son, right? Don't you plan to come and meet him? Whitebeard heard the three people talking and turned to look at the dragon on the side. No. Long glanced at the drunk Luffy, and a smile appeared on his majestic face. It is not the time yet, and he has his own dreams. Being a father shouldn't affect him. If one day, the torrent of the times makes us again meet, when? It's never too late to talk again. Correct. I'm very sorry for the previous thing, but we made a mistake. This time our revolutionary army owes you a favor. He said with some emotion. Before coming to the Celebration Island, he wanted to help Whitebeard and let Whitebeard owe a favor to the revolutionary army. Now the favor is owed. But it's not that Whitebeard owes the revolutionary army. It is the revolutionary army that owes Whitebeard. Goo la la la. It's just a small matter. Whitebeard waved his hand indifferently. No matter how the world government is the ruler of this world, it is normal to have two brushes. So I knew that the previous incident was not deliberate by the revolutionary army. Thanks. Long breathed a sigh of relief. He took the wine bowl and toasted a bowl of wine to Whitebeard. He toasted Whitebeard, not just to express his gratitude for what happened just now. I feel that Whitebeard is worthy of respect. Regardless of his generosity or the world's strongest strength, he was amazed and convinced. So this bowl of wine comes from his heart. Chapter 108. Ant attacked. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Always comes to mind. Always looking for a place of miracles. Every day now, la la la, is full of dust. The melodious singing sounded from the Moby Dick. The crew members held up the wine bowls one by one, singing loudly as the wine fell. Food, wine, partners, banquets. Always the theme of the sea. Drinking wine and having fun on the boat with your partners is also a symbol of the most freedom in the world. Katakuri Curry sat alone in the corner. Looking at the cheering crowd, a faint flash of suspicion flashed in his eyes. Some time ago, he was still a member of the Ants pirate group. He lived a repetitive life every day, and from time to time he had to worry about whether he and his brothers and sisters would offend the ant. But in just 1 month, everything has changed. Katakuri Curry, don't sit there alone, come over and drink together. Marco called out loudly. Ha 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 ha. Katakuri Curry must be shy. Joes laughed drunkly. Katakuri Curry, it's not a good thing to be shy. It's fun to be with everyone at the party. Beasta came to Katakuri Curry, put the wine jar in Katakuri Curry's hand, and then pulled the opponent to the side of the captains. Katakuri Curry, go on. The 6th Division Captain Bramank raised his hand and threw something. Katakuri Curry, who was still in a dazed state, subconsciously caught it, and when he looked up, he found that it was a chicken leg. Hey, you can't live without food when you drink, eat it quickly. Advertisement. Bramank laughed, and then pointed to the scarf around Katakuri Curry's neck. And among the family, don't hide it so tightly. Ha 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 ha, Blah is right. The other captains also roared loudly. Katakuri Curry looked at the wine and chicken drumsticks in his hand, with an inexplicable red on his face. Without hesitation, take off the scarf. Then while holding the wine jar, he ate the chicken drumsticks. He has decided. From now on, I will never wear a scarf again. As Bramank said, there is no need to cover up between family members. That's right. Marco and others cheered. The banquet continued, and laughter resounded in the surrounding sea. But, what everyone does not know is, a huge ship is coming here at ultimate speed. 5 kilometers. Oh, 3 kilometers. km. When hundreds of meters were left, the giant ship slowly stopped, and at the same time revealed its appearance. This is a 3-masted sailing ship with a pirate flag with red lips on the mast. If there are people nearby, they will surely exclaim. Because this pirate flag is the flag of one of the 4 emperors. Original. The ant came to the Celebration Island a long time ago. Out of consideration, there was no offense. But thinking that Marine and the Whitebeard pirates were both defeated, and then took the fruits of victory. Advertisement. But she never expected it. Whitebeard will use his awakening power to block the generals. Then left with the crew safely. When the ant got the news, she jumped into a rage, scolding Marine for incompetence, and hurriedly pursued her at the same time. Want to catch up with the Whitebeard pirate group, capture Katakuri Curry back. So there is the present scene. As the ship approaches. Katakuri Curry, who was cheering with Marco and the others, was taken aback and looked at the sea ahead. Under observation Haki, a familiar breath was sensed. This breath is. Katakuli's face changed a lot, and she stood up with a squeak. What's wrong? Marco and others were surprised. Mom, she's here, Katakuri Curry said bitterly. He thought that one day he would face this problem, but he didn't expect it would come so soon. What? The other captains were shocked, and instantly awoke. 0 seeking flowers, 0. Looking at the distant waters, I saw a huge ship approaching in this direction. Auntie is really here. She's here. Does she want to fight our Whitebeard pirates? Maybe I want to take Katakuri back. Take it back. Never. The captain started talking. It's me who made everyone. There was a touch of sadness in Katakuri's eyes. Advertisement. As the son of an ant, he knows how terrifying the ant's strength is. If you put it in normal times, the Whitebeard pirates naturally don't have to be afraid. But now the battle has just ended, and there is Marine chasing behind. Once it is pinned down by the ant, the Whitebeard pirates will face two forces of encirclement and suppression. Goo la la la. Katakuri, sit back to the original position and continue the banquet. Whitebeard took a sip and smiled calmly. Father. Katakuri was taken aback. Don't say anything that hurts everyone in the future. Whitebeard's tone became more low, and his original soft eyes became extremely sharp. As long as I get on my boat, no matter what identity I used to be, I will be my son from now on. Unless I leave, I will not. People can let him go. The words fell and stood up abruptly. After grabbing the broadsword, he walked towards the bow step by step. Father. Katakuri stared at Whitebeard blankly, with a warm current in her heart. It has been so long since birth, and few people have treated him like a relative like Whitebeard. Don't worry, the old man will settle this matter. Marco comforted. Katakuri nodded, his worries disappeared completely. At this time, Whitebeard walked to the bow, looking into the distance. The anthem also rushed in quickly, getting closer and closer to the Moby Dick. At the same time, there was also a sharp roar from the boat. The horror of this roar reached ultimate, spreading around like a sound wave, blasting the sea. Newgate, hand over that traitor from Katakuri. And 23%. Chapter 109. Two boxing ant Shen pirates. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The terrifying sound waves spread. Even the captains of the Whitebeard pirate group felt ear-piercing, covering their ears one by one, and there was pain on their faces. The surrounding waters exploded, causing countless sprays. Auntie is here. Sabo frowned. Regardless of whether the ant is an enemy or not, there is one thing that everyone can't deny. That's how strong Auntie is. And it's ridiculously strong. Now that such a master is coming, he has a feeling of palpitations. It's not a good thing if the two sides fight. Other cadres of the Revolutionary Army are also worried. Although the strength of the Whitebeard pirate group is higher than that of the ant pirate group. But now is not the time to go to war. After all, there was Marine chasing after him. Hey, don't worry, no matter how strong the ant is, I don't care if the 837 will be our enemy, the old man will solve it. Ace smiled indifferently. With the victory on the top of the war and celebration of the island. A group of captains had blindly trusted Whitebeard. So even if the enemy is ant, I don't think it can pose any threat to them. The ant dared to say such a thing. Didn't she know that what Dad cherishes most is his family? This has angered Dad. Marco looked extremely calm. Ha 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 ha, we can wait for victory with peace of mind. Joes laughed, not worried at all. Newgate. The sharp voice sounded again. The anthem has approached infinitely, and only 200 meters away from the mobile. Advertisement. Everyone on the boat also saw the figure standing on the bow. This figure is extremely huge, like a giant. She was also wearing a pink dress and painted bright lipstick on her ugly face, which looked very weird. But the man's aura is extremely terrifying. With the release, the surrounding air was twisted for a while. Charlotte Linlin, one of the 4 emperors of New World. At this moment, finally debut. Hand over that traitor from Katakuri, I will take him back to Cake Island and try it myself. The ant stared at Whitebeard, her tone extremely cold. Although she failed to win the victory, no matter what, she had to take Katakuri back. Goo la la la. Linlin, I told you before that anyone who gets on my boat is my son. No matter who it is, don't want him to do things that he doesn't like. Whitebeard smiled calmly. So you are going to war with me? The ant looked gloomy. Anytime. Whitebeard has no extra words. Newgate. When the ant heard the anger soaring to the sky, her voice became extremely low, and then she looked in the other direction of the mobile. Katakuri, are you really going to betray me? Don't forget, you are my son. Katakuri fell silent, and it took a long time before he snarled. We are just your tools. From now on, everything I will be in charge of myself. I will follow my father and sail freely in this sea. So I will never go back. At the end, he almost yelled out. The ant is indeed his mother. But there has never been a family relationship between them. All children are just a tool for the ant to rule the new world. Any carelessness will be dealt with or deprived of life. For this kind of mother, he has no feelings. Katakuri. The ant was so angry that she was ultimate, but she didn't expect her son to really betray her, and she was so resolute. If this is the case, then I will take you back and let your brothers and sisters know the fate of the betrayer. Speaking, the majestic momentum rose to the sky. Advertisement. The sky that had been clear was gloomy in an instant and was shrouded in dark clouds. The depressive breath permeated, making the sea level boil like a boil, splashing countless water splashes. Click, click. The Moby Dick enchant rang softly. Cracks appeared one after another. What a terrible breath. Kid and others are breathing stagnantly. Dot 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 dot. Knowing that the battle between Whitebeard and Andy was about to begin. Although they got rid of the crisis of being captured by Marine, they fell into another crisis. Mr. Long, are we going to take action? Sabo asked hurriedly. Don't worry, just leave it to the old man. Before Long could answer, Jinbei took the lead, with trust on his face. Don't underestimate Dad, and 4 emperors, I'm not Dad's opponent. This word falls to 0. Both the Supernova and the Revolutionary Army were dumbfounded. 4 emperors. Are they left behind? Or are they too weak to reach that level? I don't understand, when did the 4 emperors who rule the New World also become a small one? To describe it in mere words. Newgate, die for me. The voice of Ant's anger came, and the atmosphere of terror rose to the sky. Gu la la la, Lin, sink your anger to the bottom of the sea. Whitebeard didn't worry, but laughed out loud instead. Boom. Hit hard with a fist. Under the subtle control, the force of the shock clung to the sea, and the Hajong slammed into it violently. Boom. Advertisement. Loud noises roared, and water waves rushed up. A huge Uzumaki formed, like the mouth of a giant beast, slowly swallowing the chant. What? The furious ant was startled and hurriedly looked. It was found that Uzumaki was getting bigger and bigger, and finally covered a radius of 100 meters. Under this kind of natural disaster, the chant number could not resist at all, and was slowly pulled in. Newgate. The ant's face was hard to see ultimate. Unexpectedly, Whitebeard would come to draw a salary from the bottom of the tank and directly cause the Uzumaki shipwreck. Gu la la la, Lin, you still think about how to escape there. Whitebeard laughed, speaking and shook his fist again. As the force of shock erupted, Wave 5.0 soared into the sky and slapped on the anthem. Click, click, click. The double attack of Uzumaki and the waves caused the chant to tilt. Then under the unbelievable eyes of people, the chant number is sinking. Supernova is dumbfounded. The party of the Revolutionary Army was dumbfounded. The captains of the Whitebeard pirate group were also dumbfounded. Charlotte Lin, Auntie, one of the 4 emperors of New World. Bringing his hands in angrily, he wanted to go to war with Whitebeard. But just yelled twice, and before he could take a shot, the boat he was riding in was sunk by 2 punches by Whitebeard. Everyone on the boat was dumbfounded. The head is even more chaotic. Some people even want to slap themselves to see if they have hallucinations. Chapter 110. Supernova want to recognize Dad. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Long Mr. Long, did I see an illusion? Sabo murmured, his face covered in disbelief. Because. The one on the chant is the ant. The 4 emperors who rule the vast seas of New World. I thought that a battle no weaker than the Celebration Island would break out next. But who can think of it? The battle is over before it starts. This is the strongest man in the world. It seems that we don't know enough about Whitebeard. Long sighed. He was completely convinced by Whitebeard. First came out on the island of Celebration, and now 2 punches to sink the chant, letting the ant, one of the 4 emperors, know his life or death. This terrible strength is convincing. Fortunately, our plan is to win Whitebeard, not to be an enemy. The cadres of the Revolutionary Army wiped cold sweat and felt extremely grateful. If you made the wrong decision, maybe they will be the one who sunk the O1 ship now. Sure enough, Dad solved the problem easily. Haha, Dad is known as the strongest in the world, even if his opponent is Ant. Ant 4 emperors, it's insignificant to my father. The captains of Whitebeard cheered loudly, and everyone's faces were full of pride. Win. Kata Curry was stunned. I feel a little bit overwhelmed. Advertisement. Because he is the ant's son and knows how terrible the ant is. Just now I thought that it was really impossible, so I went back with the ant, so as not to cause trouble for the old man. Unexpectedly, the battle was over before it started. I've said it, just leave it to the old man, it's absolutely fine. Ace smiled and looked at Kata Curry. Kata Curry nodded his head, looking at Whitebeard with trust. At the same time, there is a sense of belonging to the Whitebeard pirates. Marine, 4 emperors, Revolutionary Army. The existence of these forces makes me understand one thing. Hawkins, who had witnessed everything, spoke suddenly. Understand one thing. A crowd of supernovas turned their heads and looked around. Neither Marine nor 4 emperors are something we can deal with, or we can't stand on the new world at all and break into the world of the strong, which will only leave us dead without a place to be buried. Hoskins said calmly. The recent incidents completely shocked him, and at the same time made him look away. No, the so-called supernova. It is a group of hairy boys who have just entered the new world. Nothing. If you still sail with the previous arrogance, one day you will die in the sea of New World. Humph. Then what do you want to do? Kid snorted coldly. I am going to join the Whitebeard pirates and become a member of the Whitebeard pirates. There is more enthusiasm in Hoskin's eyes. With this kind of strong shelter, we can sail on this sea without scruples. Advertisement. Moreover, to recognize such a strong man as an old man is not only not an insult to us, but an honor for us. The words fell, and the surroundings fell silent. All the supernovae fell silent, seeming to think about Hoskin's words. What happened these days is really shocking. Compared to those New World masters. They are so weak. In that case, join it. Apple grinned. He didn't have much resistance to joining the Whitebeard pirates. After all, the management of the Whitebeard pirate group is very loose. The pirate group under its banner usually sails on their own, and there is no need to gather together unless they are in a big battle. If the broadcast pirate group joins, not only are people sheltered, but they can continue to sail in the new world, so why not do it? Humph. You want to surrender to Whitebeard? Kid snorted coldly. His dream is to find the big secret treasure and become the One Piece King. If you surrender to others, do you still qualify for this title? So he never thought about surrendering. Talking to look at other supernovae. But I found that except for myself and his companion Kira, the eyes of the other supernovae were flashing, and they seemed to be very excited about this proposal. You. Kid was surprised. I wonder why the supernova from the first half of the Grand Line, known as the Evil Generation, would agree with this kind of remarks. Don't you know that once you surrender, you lose the qualification to chase the throne? After all, there is no king who surrenders. There is nothing you can't do in this world. Advertisement. If you want to survive in New World, you have to pay a certain price, and joining the Whitebeard pirate group may be the one with the least cost and the most profit. Capone Beige said lightly with a cigar in his mouth. Through these things, he saw the situation of New World clearly. And there is a hunch. That is, New World is going to be messed up. This chaos may spread to the entire world. If you want to survive in the chaotic world, you can only increase your strength or find a backer. Let's talk about patrons. 837 Is there a backing bigger than Whitebeard in the world? Kid was silent. Know that these people's ideas are completely different from yours. No matter how much you say, the other party will still surrender. Since it's decided, let's be clear. Hawkins stood up and strode towards Whitebeard. The captains and the Revolutionary Army who were still cheering were startled by Hawkins' behavior, and looked at them one by one, with doubts in their eyes. What does this guy want to do? Is it something to find Dad? Or want to leave the Moby Dick? How could it be possible that their boats are all on the Celebration Island, and now there is no boat to leave? The captains whispered. Goo la la la, Supernova boy, it seems that you have something to tell me. Whitebeard turned around and looked down as if looking down. What happened today made us understand the dangers of New World, knowing that our strength is not enough to sail in New World, so. Hawkins calmly spoke, and then the words changed. So I wonder if we have the honor to be a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. Chapter 111. Luo wants to join the Whitebeard Pirates. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The words fell, and the surroundings fell silent. The people who had finally recovered from the shock opened their eyes again and looked at Hawkins with incredible faces. Unexpectedly, Hawkins would want to join the Whitebeard Pirates. This guy doesn't have any conspiracy, right? Joes couldn't help but said. They have seen how crazy a supernova is. As soon as he entered New World, he dared to attack 4 emperors, and he was not afraid at all. Now join the Whitebeard Pirates. It doesn't look right at all. It's possible. The other captains nodded, not believing that the arrogant supernova would choose to surrender. Hey, maybe I was convinced by my father, so I wanted to join. Ace smiled while holding the back of his head. The captains, who were originally a little skeptical, were taken aback. After thinking about it, I found that this is really possible. So, these guys are going to be our brothers. Marco stroked his chin. Haha, if this is the case, then it will be interesting. Beasta laughed. Although the supernova is supported by Lu, he is very talented. Over time, he will become a well-known powerhouse. Jinbei said solemnly. Don't look at the supernova being crushed by various forces. That's because I haven't been out to sea for long. Advertisement. If you really experience it for a few years and allow a few people to have enough time to grow, the achievements of a group of supernovas will be unimaginable. Goo la la la. Do you all want to join? At this time Whitebeard finally spoke up. He has no surprises about the surrender of the supernova. After all, several people in the original book have done the same thing, but the object is Kaido and the ant. Yes. Capone Beige nodded immediately. When Whitebeard heard this, he didn't answer immediately. Instead, he glanced at a few people and seemed to be thinking about whether to agree or not. Several people in Hawkins were uneasy, waiting quietly for Whitebeard's answer. If you really want to join the Whitebeard Pirates, then add me. At this moment, an abrupt voice sounded. People were alarmed and turned to look. I saw a three-masted sailing ship in the distance, one of the supernova Trafalgar Luo, standing on the bow. The words just now came from Luo's mouth. Original. After Whitebeard left, he followed as quickly as possible. Although I didn't witness Whitebeard's 2 punches and sinking the chant, I heard Hawkins surrender. So what happened just now? What's going on today? Why do these supernovas come to the door one by one, wanting to be Whitebeard's son? Sabo whispered. The corner of the dragon's mouth twitched. Sabo asked him, who did he ask? Don't understand, supernova who usually looks crazy and can't do it. Why do you want to join the Whitebeard pirates? Dragon, how do I feel there is a conspiracy? Advertisement. A revolutionary army cadre whispered. Whitebeard has helped us no matter what, should we remind you? If only 1 or 2 supernovas joined, he would not be surprised. After all, supernovae are also human. It makes sense to be convinced by Whitebeard's strength and then choose to join. But several supernovas joined at once. That's a little strange. Hold on. Long calm Kaido. He believes that Whitebeard can make the right decision. Goo la la la. After watching for a long time, Whitebeard finally laughed, then walked off the bow under everyone's gaze, sat back in the center, and asked again, you really want to get on my boat? Yes. Hawkins Kaido without hesitation. Luo, Drake, Apu, Bej, Arouge and others looked at each other and nodded without hesitation. I can agree, but you have to know the rules of my boat in advance. Whitebeard said calmly. After speaking, he glanced at Marco beside him. When Marco saw this, he immediately stood up, put his hands in Kabuto, and looked at the supernovae faintly. It's easy to join Dad's team, as long as you follow 2 rules, you can join. Article 1. You must never attack your companions. Article 2. Never sell the information of the pirate group and its companions. If you violate one of them, you will be removed from the Whitebeard pirates and be chased by us forever. At the end, Marco's tone became cold. The supernova's expression changed after hearing this. Knowing that joining the Whitebeard pirates was not as easy as you thought. Among them, Capone Bej took a step back and seemed to want to give up. He joined the Whitebeard pirates. Advertisement. I want to find a backer. But this backer is not permanent, but thinking about waiting for one's own strength to withdraw immediately. But as Marco said, he knew immediately that it would not work. Is it gone? When Marco saw Capone Bej retreating, he didn't care, but looked at other supernovae. The other supernovas listened silently and stood motionless. It seems that he is determined to join the Whitebeard pirates. Goo la la la. Get on my boat, then remember it. Regardless of your previous status, as long as you become my son, you will carry my name on your back to New World from now on. It has nothing to do with the past. Can you do it? Whitebeard smiled lowly. He also took a look at Arp and Drake. Others do not know the identities of the 2. He who has read Qian Haojiao's original work, but he knows it all. But, as said before, as long as he got on his boat, he would not pursue the identities of the 2. The attitude towards the 2 will be the same as the other captains. But, if the 2 join the Whitebeard pirates, they will also harm their companions and sell the information of the fleet. Even if the 2 of them fled to the ends of the earth, he would also take off their heads. When Apu and Drake heard this, their expressions changed. Then he looked at Whitebeard with some trepidation. The 2 are not idiots, so they can naturally hear that this is specifically said to them. Has the identity been discovered? Apu and Drake trembled in their hearts. A wave of fear rushed into my heart, and I couldn't understand how Whitebeard discovered his identity. Chapter 112. Crusade Mingay. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. How did Whitebeard find out? Apple and Drake were sweating coldly. One of them is the undercover agent of Kaido and the other is the undercover agent of Marine. The reason why I wanted to join the Whitebeard pirate group was actually with the idea of investigating intelligence. Now his identity is revealed in one word. The 2 only felt chills all over, and a panic of fear rushed into their hearts. Because the person in front of him is Whitebeard. Relying on his own strength to lead the fleet, the world's strongest man who won the top war and celebrated the victory of the Island War. If you want to kill them, you only need to move your fingers. Under the threat of death, the 2 were panicked. Don't dare to say any more to join. Sure enough, there is a problem. Marco squinted. He had doubted whether the supernova had ulterior motives before. Now it seems that this is really the case. Goo la la la. People who can't abandon their previous identities are not qualified to board my ship. Whitebeard picked up the jar, took a sip and smiled faintly. He doesn't mind the identities of the 2 before. Even if the 2 are undercovers for Marine and Kaido. As long as Apu and Drake 837 dared to abandon their previous identities, he dared to let them join and treat them equally. But unfortunately, the 2 didn't have the courage to be desperate. Arp and Drake were silent for a while, and finally stepped back, knowing that their ideas were frustrated. Advertisement. The 3 of you, are you sure you want to join the Whitebeard pirates? Marco looked at Rouge, Luo, and Hawkins. Hawkins nodded. But Luo did not reply directly. Instead, he hesitated for a while and gritted his teeth. I actually joined the Whitebeard pirates for other purposes. I hope to use the power of the Whitebeard pirates to complete my revenge. Oh, everyone heard this and looked curiously. Unexpectedly, Luo had such an idea, and also took the initiative to speak out. If the Whitebeard pirates can help me complete my revenge, from now on, the Heart pirates will be dispatched. Luo shouted loudly, his face full of determination. In fact, he can conceal it first, and then plan revenge after joining the Whitebeard pirate group. After all, with ABFA, Whitebeard's character, he doesn't care about his son. But he didn't do it. Rather, it directly clarifies the situation. If Whitebeard is willing to help himself, his life will be Whitebeard's from now on. If you are not willing, then think of other methods. Father. Marco looked at Whitebeard, wondering what his father thought. Goo la la la, since you want to join, from now on, bear my name and ride on the Sea of New World. Whitebeard put down the jar and laughed. Gong agreed. Luo was stunned in the same place, with a hint of incredulity in his tone. Goo la la la, since I have boarded my ship, it is my son, who is in trouble, how can he sit back and watch as an old man? Whitebeard smiled calmly, and then looked at Marco, turn the rudder to Dressrosa immediately and fight against Doflamingo. The expressions of the Revolutionary Army and the Supernova were stagnant. Advertisement. I didn't expect Whitebeard to be so decisive. As soon as Luo Kai said his purpose, Whitebeard agreed without hesitation, and he was ready to fight against Brother Ming. Isn't it afraid that Luo is a liar? The purpose is to arouse the hatred of the Whitebeard pirates and Shichibukai. I finally know why the captains of the Whitebeard pirates are willing to swear allegiance to Whitebeard. Long sighed inexplicably. I thought that what Whitebeard said before was just talking. After the supernova is on board, it must be inspected before it can be truly accepted. But now it seems that this is not the case at all. Whitebeard really did that. As long as you board the Moby Dick, you will be a member of the Whitebeard pirates and be treated the same as the other captains. Yes. Sabo nodded afterwards. I understand why Ace, the son of Roger, got on Whitebeard's ship. And give up the previous dream and help Whitebeard become one piece. Pity. A touch of loss flashed in Capone Bedge's eyes. In fact, a long time ago, he admired Whitebeard very much. However, he has his own ambitions and wants to make a piece of his own in New World, so he chose to quit. This is Daddy. It is also because of this that we are willing to follow Dad to sail on this sea. Marco's face was full of pride. Ha 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 ha. Then let's go to Dressrosa and help Luo fight against Brother Ming. Joes laughed. Although I don't know what grudges Luo and Ming have, but it doesn't matter. Luo becomes the father's son. That is our brother. No matter who it is, dare to offend our brother, we will not let it go. Advertisement. Beasta put his hand on the long sword and said murderously. Yes, Luo. Don't worry, we will avenge your grudges. Flames burned on Ace's fist. Father, and everyone. Ron whispered. I thought that I had joined the Whitebeard pirates and would not be easily accepted by the Whitebeard pirates. But I didn't expect things to be completely different from what I thought. Whitebeard and the captains not only accepted themselves, but were also willing to help themselves get revenge. The emotion came to his heart, making his eyes flushed. My decision is indeed correct. Hawkins breathed a sigh of relief. Knowing that he was right, the Whitebeard pirate group is indeed different from other pirate groups. Joining this team, there are only advantages and no disadvantages. Goo la la la, sons, set sail, go to Dressrosa. Whitebeard laughed. Oh, the captains replied loudly. Immediately turn the bow of the ship to change the sailing direction. Ask the boy Doflamingo, why dare to do something with my son? Although the Whitebeard pirates had just ended the battle on the island, it was not suitable to continue the battle. But people did not complain. Because Ming Jie committed a big taboo. That is, offended their brother. Chapter 113. Whitebeard's New Bounty of Horror. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. New World Waters. The Moby Dick braved the wind and waves and headed towards Brother Ming's site. But I didn't sail far, and first ran into marine. It turned out that after the Whitebeard pirates escaped, Sengoku not only didn't give up, but pursued more desperately. After a long time of chasing, he finally caught up. These marines haven't given up yet. Marco looked into the distance. Hey, are they trying to stop us at sea? Ace smiled indifferently. Goo la la la, now I don't have time to play with them. Whitebeard stood up and walked to the bow step by step, looking at the warship in the distance. Then without hesitation, he hit hard. Boom. The ear-splitting sound exploded. The fierce concussive force erupted, swept away like a raging wave, and set off a great wave. Boom. 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 The rumbling sound continued to sound, as if thousands of troops launched an offensive. Marine, who had just caught up with the Moby Dick and was about to embark on a containment, suddenly changed his face when he saw this huge wave. Damn, it must be Whitebeard. Sengoku's face changed drastically. There is no alternative but to stop the pursuit of the warship and avoid the huge waves first. 20 minutes later, the huge waves dissipated, but 2 warships sank. Puff, ha ha ha. Sengoku, give up, you can't catch Whitebeard at sea. Garp leaned in and laughed. Asshole, you can still laugh. Advertisement. Sengoku's face was hard to see ultimate. But he did not give up, but continued to pursue. In about 3 hours, Marine caught up with the Moby Dick again. But the result this time was the same as last time. The waves rushed before they were near. Moreover, the waves this time were even more terrifying than the last time. Marine paid 5 warships to escape safely. Sengoku was silent. The light in his eyes was dim, as if 10 years old. He knew that Marine could not catch up. Because the sea is the site of Whitebeard, who can easily set off huge waves, can easily destroy it as long as it discovers the presence of warships. Continue to pursue it, it will only damage more. Tell the world government. This time Garp didn't smile, but sighed. Knowing that his old friend was really hit. First it was the failure of the war, and then it didn't take long before the failure of the Celebration Island. Old, not like young. Sengoku smiled bitterly. When they were young, he and Garp dared to drive a warship to chase Roger's full boat. But now, bring many admiral, vice admiral, and a lot of warships. Not even the Moby Dick's butt can be touched. This era is no longer ours. After this incident, please retire with me. There was a touch of emotion on Garp's face. Sengoku nodded. Instead of pursuing, he walked into the office and dialed the phone of the world government. After about 10 minutes, the call ended. How's it going? Garp asked. Advertisement. The world government wants us to renegotiate Whitebeard's bounty, and at the same time go to the holy place Mariajoy when we return to sail. Let me step down as the marshal, but still retain the military rank. It is estimated that it wants me to stay and train new people. Sengoku smiled bitterly. Puff, ha ha ha. It seems that those guys also know that this will be the result. Garp laughed. He was right. 5 elders did anticipate this. So from the moment Whitebeard fled, the world government began its layout. The first layout is to reset Whitebeard's bounty. After all, Whitebeard has a winning streak. The degree of harm has completely surpassed Roger. The 5.5 billion bounty may have been appropriate in the past, but now it is a bit foolish. The second layout is to let Sengoku step down. Because 5 elders thinks. For the defeat of this war, Sengoku bears the main responsibility. If Sengoku uses Buster Call from the beginning, there will be nothing to do. So the 5 wanted to dispense with Sengoku's status as a marshal, and let the tough Akainu take the lead to deal with the next era of the great pirates. As for the third layout, world conscription. That's right. 0 seeking flowers. Point 0. This failure made 5 elders see Marine's cowardice. Prepare to wait for the end of this matter, and carry out worldwide conscription to strengthen the strength of Marine and world government. No matter what, let's call the generals to discuss the bounty. Sengoku sighed. Soon, many generals gathered in the conference room. However, everyone's complexion was not so good, which caused the atmosphere in the meeting room to become extremely depressing. This time in order to encircle Whitebeard. Advertisement. They have mobilized the top combat power. But the result? The person didn't catch it, and let the other party flee. The essential. This is still live, so Marine was embarrassed and left home. The world government has ordered us to renegotiate Whitebeard's bounty. Everyone tells us how much the bounty should be. Sengoku ignored everyone's faces and said to himself. Whitebeard is the most vicious villain in the world, and the bounty must be raised to another level in order to let the world know how serious things are. Akainu slapped the table and shouted. In his opinion, it was because people did not pay enough attention to Whitebeard that this war failed. Only by paying attention to these villains can we win future wars. In that case, set Whitebeard's bounty at 6,564,800,000. Crane Vice Admiral said solemnly. 6.564.8 million. Everyone was surprised. If this bounty is true, then Whitebeard's bounty would exceed Roger by a full billion. This is a bounty that shakes the world. Does anyone object? If not, then it is so decided. Sengoku looked around. The generals looked at each other, but in the end they said nothing. Because Whitebeard has this qualification. Defeating Marine's Whitebeard in a row has had an impact several times worse than Roger, and now it is more likely to unite with the Revolutionary Army. So even if it is 6.5 billion bounty, everyone feels that it is not enough. So be it. Seeing no objection, Sengoku confirmed it. After the meeting was over, the news flowed out and spread to the whole world. And Chapter 114. The world is shocking. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sabayati Archipelago. The originally stable island is experiencing a chaos at this time. The people on the island witnessed Marine's defeat. After Whitebeard left safely, the fear that was suppressed in people's hearts instantly surged into their hearts. Marine lost again. How is it possible? How is this possible? Aren't you uniting with the world government this time? Why did you still lose? What went wrong? A man more terrifying than a demon defeated Marine again. The ordinary people yelled in panic. A desperate mood enveloped my heart, which immediately caused chaos. Amidst the screams, countless people quickly fled. The original lively market was completely wiped out in an instant, and everyone escaped cleanly. But this is just the beginning. Before people flee for long, another news, HA837, came. That is, Marine announced Whitebeard's new bounty. This time the bounty has increased by 1 billion, reaching a terrifying 6,568,400,000. As soon as this bounty appeared, Sabayati archipelago was shaken. The people who were panicked immediately became desperate, and some timid people were even more frightened and collapsed to the ground. For the 6.5 billion bounty, Marine really has lost money. Shaki was amazed. This bounty has surpassed Roger's bounty, and this guy Newgate is really more and more surprising. Rayleigh was also taken aback by the bounty. I kind of believe what you said now. Shaki spit out a smoke ring and smiled. Oh, advertisement. Rayleigh was taken aback. It's the World War you mentioned earlier. Shaki spoke, with a touch of emotion in his tone, and I'm sure that the person who started the World War is Whitebeard. Ha 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 ha. It's just right, I think so too. Rayleigh laughed. Whitebeard and the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Long, have already met. Both of them are enemies of the world government. Once they unite, they will have a huge impact on the world. The future is really worth looking forward to, and I don't know where it will go. Shaki looked into the distance, and then felt a sea breeze. The world seems got windy. The news continued to spread. And spread to the whole world in the shortest time. This day, the world shakes. People who had just received the news looked at the newspaper in their hands, and there was a look of fear and horror in their eyes. People know more or less about the news of the expo. I also thought before, whether Marine will do anything. But people did not expect that Marine and the world government would join forces, and once again lost to Whitebeard, allowing Whitebeard to leave safely. Faced with this kind of news, everyone only feels fear. As if the end of the world is coming. Certainly. When there is fear, there is excitement. When some ambitious people got the news, they were suddenly overwhelmed with excitement. Marine was once again defeated. Even if he joined forces with the world government, he failed to keep Whitebeard. Advertisement. This is the strength of the world's strongest man. 6.5 billion bounty. This is a huge bounty of 1 billion higher than that of One Piece Roger. 2 consecutive failures all show the weakness of the world government and Marine. What kind of weakness is there to rule the world? Before I was afraid of the world government, but now there is no need for it, because the world is about to mess up, and it is time for us to act. Countless people shouted and excited. This day. In just a few hours, the world has changed drastically. Some people rushed to the sea without scruples. There are also some conspirators who no longer fear the world government and start their own plans. The whole world became restless and became more restless. A small island in New World. Kaido's face became extremely gloomy after watching the live broadcast. When he was on top of the war, he wanted to sneak attack on Whitebeard's territory, so he had already forged a grudge. Now that Whitebeard wins, it just feels annoying. Boss, I just got 2 important news. One is that Marine announced Whitebeard's new bounty, and the other is about the new trend of the ant pirates. A subordinate hurried over. What? Kaido stood up with a squeak, his face was more grumpy. Say, how many bounties did the Marine idiots add to Whitebeard? It has increased by 1 billion, and it is now 6,568,400,000. The man swallowed. What? Kaido's grumpy face froze for a moment. Unexpectedly, Marine will give such a high bounty, which is completely beyond imagination. After a long time, he reacted, and a look of anger appeared on his face. He and Whitebeard came out of the same boat. And also the 4 emperors. Advertisement. But the result, Whitebeard broke the title of the king of the world, completely surpassing the other 3 emperors. The bounty is as high as 6.5 billion. And what about yourself? The original 4 emperors became the 3 emperors who succumbed to Whitebeard. The bounty is only 4.6 billion. Compared with Whitebeard, it's a full 2 billion difference. A feeling of jealousy hits his heart, making the anger on Kaido's face even thicker. Those idiots Marine. With a roar, the body rushed straight up. Boom. Loud roar. The sky was densely covered with clouds, and a blue dragon loomed in the clouds. Kaido, who had become a dragon, didn't listen to the news of the Ant Pirate 5.0 group, and immediately spit out a dragon's breath and blasted to the ground. Boom. 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 Hot flames rose into the sky, and rubble splashed around. The little brother who came to convey the information looked at the sky with despair, and then died amidst the screams. It took a full half an hour. Large pits appeared on the small island and were destroyed. Kaido, who was furious, finally calmed down and changed back to a human appearance. Are they all dead? It seems to have heard news about the old woman. Kaido thought about it, but after not thinking about it for a long time, he left the matter behind. It doesn't matter, go find a drink first. As he said, he turned and left. This turn around. So Kaido missed the news that the Ants pirate group was dispatched, and also missed the news of the Ants' life or death. Chapter 115. King of the World. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. New World. An unnamed island. The Moby Dick, the main ship of the Whitebeard pirates, was parked on the shore of the island. At this time, a group of supernovae and revolutionary forces have all disembarked. Ace, Luffy, let's separate here. Sabo looked at his two brothers with dismay. I believe we will meet again soon. Ace waved his hands. Sabo. Luffy's eyes were in tears. It only took a few hours for the three to meet again, but now they have to be separated again. Ha 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 ha. Luffy, you must train with Uncle Whitebeard in the future. Only in this way can you meet your companions as soon as possible and realize your dreams. Sabo laughed. I will. Luffy nodded heavily. During the celebration of the Battle of the Isles, he took advantage of the time between the two sides to use the live broadcast to deliver the news of the rendezvous 2 years later. If Zoro and others see it, they should understand the meaning of the message. So for the next 2 years, he will try to be as strong as possible. Let yourself have the strength to be based in New World. Whitebeard, when we meet next time, I hope we can stand on the same front. Long Shen said. After experiencing the Battle of Celebration Island, he knew the power of Whitebeard. If the Revolutionary Army can join forces with Whitebeard. Advertisement. The combined strength of both parties is sufficient to fight against any power in the world. Goo la la la. Whitebeard smiled and didn't reply. When Long saw that Whitebeard did not reply, he was a little disappointed. But it soon felt reasonable. After all, Whitebeard owes nothing to the Revolutionary Army, and with the strength of the Whitebeard pirate group, it seems that there is no need to unite with other forces. But he was not discouraged. I believe that as long as we maintain a friendly relationship with the Whitebeard pirates, one day, the two sides will unite together. Figured this out, Long was relieved. Then in the farewell, watch the Moby Dick break through the boiling water waves and slowly go away. Early the next morning, the morning sun appeared from the sky, and then enveloped the entire sea. A news bird took the newspaper across the sky above the mobile, then stopped on the mast. Bring me a newspaper. Marco yawned and handed out a silver coin. After paying the money, he took the newspaper. After seeing the contents of the newspaper, his sleepiness instantly became sober, and his face was full of ecstasy. Everyone, come and see, the new bounty for the old man is coming out. A loud shout resounded all around. The crew member who had just gotten out of bed and was still in a state of confusion immediately woke up and rushed away with a hula. Real or fake? What's the new bounty for Daddy? Marco, show me the newspaper. Ace, you idiot, don't squeeze me, you stepped on my foot. A group of captains surrounded Marco, grabbed the newspaper and looked it up immediately, and then stared at each other. Why do they look like this? Luo man not far away was curious. Advertisement. Daddy won the Battle of the Celebration Island, and the bounty is expected to rise significantly. They should be frightened by the new bounty. Urouge smiled. Divination shows that the probability of an increase in the bounty of the old man is 100%, the probability of doubling is 0%, and the probability of an increase of more than 1 billion bounty is 63.5%. Hawkins flipped the cards. The probability of increasing 1 billion bounty is so high. Luo and Urouge were taken aback. They are all supernovae. Knowing that Hawkins' divination is very accurate, the probability of 63% is almost certain. 651,764,805. Daddy's bounty has reached 6.5 billion. It grows by 1 billion in one breath. It's amazing. Dad is really amazing. The captain of the Whitebeard pirates finally woke up, and then cheered. Hey, this is more than just 1 billion growth. Marco chuckled and shook the newspaper in his hand. Did you forget, what is the bounty of One Piece Roger? The words fell silent, and the audience fell silent. The cheering people froze in place. Suddenly a data popped up in their minds. 5.564.8 million. Guru. Old. 7th Division Captain Lucky swallowed. Not only that, but it is $1 billion higher than the bounty of One Piece Roger. The 9th Division Captain Blenheim trembled. After saying this, the people calmed down again, each one was dumbfounded. It's okay if Marco doesn't remind. With such a reminder, people instantly know the meaning of this bounty. So, Daddy has become a pirate higher than Roger's bounty. 11th Division Captain Jin Guduo couldn't help saying. Yes. Advertisement. Marco smiled proudly. Daddy is the real king of the world. After the war on the top, Whitebeard got the title of King of the World. But at that time, people still remained skeptical about this title. But with the victory of 837 in the Battle of the Festival Island, no one in the world dared to question it anymore. Because Whitebeard used his strength to tell the world who was the strongest in the world. Awesome, Daddy is so amazing. The king of the world, completely above the One Piece and other 4 emperors, is the only king in the sea. Long live Daddy. The crew of the Whitebeard pirates was thrilled. Goo la la la, are you offering a reward of 6.5 billion? I don't know if it is the idea of the world government or the idea of the guy Sengoku. Whitebeard laughed when he heard his new bounty. Hey, in order to celebrate Dad's bounty increase by 1 billion, completely surpassing Roger One Piece, so let's have a banquet. Marco suggested. Yes. The other captain's eyes lit up, and then looked at Whitebeard eagerly, hoping that Whitebeard would agree. Daddy's bounty seems to surpass that of One Piece Roger. Goo la la la. Whitebeard got up from his seat, naturally wouldn't refuse. My sons have a banquet. Oh, the captains cheered. Soon, food and wine are put up. Everyone cheered loudly, enjoying this beautiful moment. Thank you for reading this story at mtlnation.com. Chapter 116. Brother Ming was scared to pee. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Dressrosa. 7 warlords of the sea is the base of Doflamingo. Ming has returned to this country since the Battle of the Celebration Island. But he didn't even think about it. As soon as I returned to Dressrosa, I received a call from the world government. Howl duo whistle. I didn't expect that the person in charge of the world government would also call me. Brother Ming sat on the sofa with a big smile. When you die, you can still laugh. The voice of 5 elders came. Brother Ming, who was originally laughing, condensed his eyes, and his tone became more confused. What do you mean by this, and what do you want to do with me? Whitebeard did not return after leaving the Celebration Island, but headed for your Dressrosa. You participated in the battle for the top, you are against Whitebeard, right? 5 elders gloated. What? Brother Ming's smile froze on his face, and his arm holding the phone worm trembled. What you said is true. Humph. Do you think we will lie to you at this time? 5 elders snorted. World government is the ruler of the world. It is not too simple to explore Whitebeard's traces. Although it is not clear why Whitebeard suddenly went to Dressrosa after leaving the Celebration Island. But you don't have to think about it and know that it will never be a good thing. Advertisement. Damn it. Brother Ming's face was completely gloomy. He couldn't understand what Whitebeard's purpose was. If it's to avenge the obstruction of the battle on the top, it should have been reported back in Marineford, not until now. But if not, after Whitebeard left the Celebration Island, why did he come to himself? Isn't it here to relax? Dover, what should I do now? The old man Whitebeard is coming. Torapal, with his nose on his face, panicked. If it is someone else, he is not afraid. But this time the enemy is Whitebeard. The king of the world who claims to be the strongest in the world, won the war on the top and celebrated the victory of the Island War. In the face of such a strong man, he has no confidence at all. To shut up. Brother Ming shouted irritably, his eyes flickering constantly. He was thinking about Whitebeard's purpose. At the same time thinking about Whitebeard's shot on himself, whether the Don Quixote family can resist. But just after thinking for a while, his arm fell down. Because, no matter what you think, none of the Don Quixote family can be an opponent of the Whitebeard pirates. Once the Whitebeard pirate group comes, there is no need for Whitebeard to take action, just a bullet can sweep them. Not an opponent at all. If Whitebeard really logs into Dressrosa and hits us with all his strength, with our strength, it will only be able to withstand it for 10 minutes at most. Brother Ming slipped in a cold sweat. When I was watching a movie before, I hadn't noticed that the Whitebeard pirates was so terrible. The comparison now made me startled. Advertisement. Let alone Whitebeard, known as the strongest captain in the world. Just such masters as Marco, Ace, Joes, Beasta, Jinbei, Bullet and Katakuri are enough to sweep them. Faced with this lineup, the Don Quixote family has no chance of winning at all. Dover, what should I do? Torapal couldn't help asking. We can only contact Kaido, let him send someone to support. Brother Ming was calm, knowing that with his own strength, there is no way to fight the Whitebeard pirates. Want to resist the attack of the Whitebeard pirates? Only the power of Kaido can be used. He immediately picked up the phone worm, ready to ask Kaido for help. A small island in New World. Kaido was drunk leaning against the rocks, holding a wine gourd in his hand, and constantly pouring wine into his mouth. Boss, it's not good, boss. There is news from Doflamingo that the Whitebeard pirates are going to do something against them and are now asking us for help. A subordinate hurried over. What? Kaido, who was originally drunk, came to his senses, lifted up the man directly, and shouted angrily, what did you just say? Doflamingo said that Whitebeard was about to do something against him and told us that if we don't want the transaction to be interrupted, let us send someone to support. Kaido shivered in his hands. The old man Whitebeard, why did he suddenly shoot Doflamingo? Kaido threw away his men, his face turned gloomy. He and Ming Jie have a secret deal. This transaction is about the success of his plan. If Ming is defeated by Whitebeard, his plan will also be blocked. Boss, there's one more thing. Mr. Jack asks if you have received the news that the anti-pirates team has taken action against the Whitebeard pirates. Advertisement. The subordinate asked cautiously. Kaido was taken aback. Then I remembered the report of that subordinate. It seems to have said the news of the ant. But at that time, he was angry because of the bounty issue, so he killed the little brother without listening to all the news. Lady Linlin actually went to war with the old man Whitebeard. Old man Whitebeard offended both of us. What on earth did he want to do? Do you want to eliminate the 4 emperors and become the true king of the world? A furious look appeared on Kaido's face. His deal with Ming Jie is not hidden deeply. The top powers around the world know a little bit more or less. Now Whitebeard is still making a move without knowing it. Can it be said that Whitebeard's purpose is not Ming, Xinhao Jiao, but Beast's pirates? This thought emerged and Kaido was furious. It feels like Whitebeard's crusade against Ming is just a smoke bomb. The real purpose is to target oneself, and then eradicate the 3 emperors and become the ruler of the world. Boss, do we want to support? The subordinate asked in horror. Humph. Old Whitebeard wants to be the king of the world, so you have to ask me if I agree, and immediately contact the old lady Linlin, I want to talk to her. Kaido said solemnly. Although he is reckless, he is not mindless. Knowing that with the power of Beast's pirates, it is not the opponent of the Whitebeard pirates at all. But it's okay. The anti-pirates also took action against the Whitebeard pirates. At this time, we can unite with the ant pirates and the Don Quixote family to fight Whitebeard. 24%. Chapter 117. Golden Lion meets the ant. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. New world. An unknown island. A huge, badly damaged ship was docked on the shore, with a red-lipped pirate flag hung on its mast. Mom, Newgate dared to sink my chant number. The ant sat on the boulder with a gloomy face, wet and embarrassed. A few days ago, she and Whitebeard had a conflict. The anthem on board was sunk by a punch and sank into the sea. But no matter how she was 4 emperors, there were other masters of the pirate group on the ship, so how could she die easily? With concerted efforts, the anthem broke free from the vortex. After a few days of arduous sailing, I landed on this small island. Mother, what should I do now? Perospero looked sad. Newgate dared to attack me, I will never let him go. The ant's face was extremely gloomy. As the 4 emperors, she cares most about face. Now that I have been beaten so badly, how can I swallow this breath? Now she just wants to repair the ship as soon as possible, and then return to Cake Island to summon her forces and formally declare war on Whitebeard. Point 837. Perospero had a bitter face, trying to persuade the ant not to be impulsive. But this is not over yet. A laugh came from deep in the forest. The group of ant pirates glanced at each other, calmed down, and looked in the direction of the sound. Advertisement. Hee 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 hop. The Admiral is really good. I have known that Whitebeard will win. Now we only need to report the information of New World and our plan can begin. Deep in the forest, a man laughed. Yes, the Golden Lion boss will rule the entire world. Ha 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 ha, how strong is Whitebeard? In the end, he is not going to succumb to the Admiral. Several other people also laughed. They are all subordinates of Golden Lion Shiki. This time I came to New World for one thing, and that was to investigate New World's intelligence. Original. Golden Lion received news of the decisive battle between Whitebeard and Bullet. It is expected that the New World will change drastically. So act immediately. Prepare to investigate the situation of the various forces in New World clearly, and then start your own plan. Mom, it turns out to be Shiki's old guy, and listening to this, it seems that some kind of plan is still in progress. The ant listened to everything in her ears, showing a crazy smile. I thought I was unlucky on the island. Unexpectedly, when it came to work, I met Golden Lion's subordinates on the small island and heard this secret thing. With that, stood up. The huge body walked towards the depths of the forest. The Golden Lion's subordinates who were laughing triumphantly heard the movement and raised their heads slightly, and then saw a huge figure approaching. After seeing it clearly, everyone's eyes widened. Is this an ant? How is it possible? How could the ant of one of the 4 emperors appear here? Everyone was dumbfounded. But soon there was a tremor, and fear emerged in my heart. Advertisement. Although I don't know why the ant is here, it is obviously not a good thing for them. Mom, it's up to you to take me to see Shiki now. The ant looked down at a few people and showed a sneer smile. Guru. Several people swallowed. Before they could react, they saw the ant's palm. Boom. Loud roar. Thick smoke rose, rubble splashed around, and then the forest returned to calm. East Blue. ABFA. Floating island. A palace on the island. Shaki, known as the Golden Lion, was sitting on the palace seat, looking at the newspaper in his hand. 6.564.8 million is really an amazing bounty, which has never been seen in the history of pirates. Golden Lion was full of admiration. Although it has long been expected that Whitebeard will win, the bounty will also increase significantly. But I didn't expect to increase by 1 billion in one go. Gahahaha. But it's okay, because my plan is about to begin. As long as it succeeds, my bounty will definitely override you, Whitebeard. He was laughing wildly, his eyes full of confidence. In order to realize his ambition, he has sent his subordinates to New World. As long as the situation of the various forces is clearly investigated, the plan can be fully carried out, thereby subverting the world. By the time, he will become the greatest pirate ever. Admiral, the crew who went to New World to investigate intelligence is back. Just then, a subordinate ran in, his face full of panic. Advertisement. Are you back? Golden Lion stood up with a squeak, and the two swords under his feet slammed on the ground. Why are you still squeezing? Call him up. But, the subordinate spoke falteringly. If you have any shit, hurry up and don't delay Lousy's time. Golden Lion shouted dissatisfied. The returning ship not only has a crew member investigating intelligence, the aunt of one of the New World 4 emperors, is also on board, but also named to see the admiral. The subordinate was crying. What? How could that old lady Linlin be on Lousy's boat? Golden Lion's eyes widened. And what is the old lady doing to me? My relationship with her is not very good. Although he, Whitebeard, Kaido, Ant, all came out of the same boat. But the relationship between the four is not very good. In the old days, a few people still fought out at sea, and it can be said that they were enemies plus opponents. Admiral, do you want to see her? Jenin couldn't help asking. Gahahaha. That old woman Linlin is a lunatic. If she doesn't see her, she will never leave easily. Golden Lion laughed, and then waved his hand. Bring the old woman up. Lousy wants to see. What idea does she want to make? Yes. The men quickly stepped back. 10 minutes later. The aunt of one of the 4 emperors came with a group of children. After seeing the Golden Lion Shaki, she suddenly gave a sneer smile. Golden Lion. It's been a long time since I saw you. 25%. Chapter 118. 3 Emperors Alliance. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Old lady, don't be polite to me. Tell me if you have anything. Seeing the aunt came, Golden Lion had no intention of getting up to greet him. The two came out of the same ship. So he knows the aunt very well, knowing that this time I came to him, he was definitely not here to talk, he must have other purposes. Arrogant. Snug snorted coldly. No matter how they belong to the 4 emperors group, any forces in the world must be careful receive them. Now that I saw the attitude of Golden Lion, I suddenly felt I was neglected. Gahahaha. Is this idiot your son? You dare to say that Lousy is arrogant, and you are not afraid that Lousy will throw him into the sea to feed the sea beasts. Golden Lion grinned. The long sword under his feet hit the ground heavily. With the sound of golden iron, the solid ground split instantly, and the resulting cracks spread towards Snug. He is not afraid of other people. This is not afraid of not only strength, but also the forces under its banner. If he didn't break into Marineford back then New World would not be the 4 emperors, but the 5 emperors. Golden Lion, why do you have to have some insights with children? The ant stepped forward and lightly stepped on the ground with her right foot, and the crack that had originally spread stopped instantly. If you have a fart, let me go, Lousy doesn't have time to chat with you. Golden Lion snorted coldly. After seeing Whitebeard's new bounty, he couldn't wait. I can't wait to implement the plan immediately, let my name resound in the sea again, and tell the world that there is not only Whitebeard in this world, but also his Golden Lion. Mom, you have been unable to hide, what plan do you want to accomplish? The ant smiled sullenly. But you have to know that Newgate will soon rule the new world. Even if your plan is completed, it will not be Newgate's opponent. So I want to work with you, and at the same time unite Kaido to fight Newgate together. Advertisement. She knew that the anti-pirates was not Whitebeard's opponent. So when I met Golden Lion's men, I came up with a plan. That is the combination of Kaido and Golden Lion. Fight against Whitebeard together. As long as the 3 are united, even if Whitebeard is strong, he will not be an opponent. Gahahaha. You want to join hands with me? Golden Lion laughed wildly. Is this your idea, or the idea of Kaido Kid? I haven't told Kaido about this. But Kaido owes me a great kindness, and in the face of Newgate's growing strength, he will definitely join hands with me. The ant is full of confidence. If you don't join hands, Kaido is not allowed. Because the stronger the Whitebeard, the more difficult the situation of the other 4 emperors. If Kaido wants to maintain the status of New World, he can only join forces with them to eliminate Whitebeard. Then you know, Whitebeard is Lousy's friend. The Golden Lion's tone became more deep. He and Roger and Whitebeard are all old rivals for many years. There were many conflicts in the old days. But so what? The friendship between the two is still good. When he left the big prison, he deliberately found Whitebeard to drink. Now the ant is going to unite him to deal with Whitebeard. Is this surely a joke? Mom, you are friends, but also enemies of life and death. The ant smiled sorrowfully. She is not a 3-year-old child, she can fool it with a few random tricks. Advertisement. Roger, Whitebeard, Golden Lion. The relationship between the three is really good. Asterisk at caret asterisk dollar asterisk caret. But the three are both friends and enemies. In the old days, the three had several naval battles. Today Whitebeard is the king of the world. So no matter what plan Golden Lion wants to implement, it will not be able to bypass Whitebeard in the end. This is why she came to work with Golden Lion. Gahahaha. Others say that you have a cruel temperament and like to act according to your mood, but no one knows. Of the four of us, you are the most cunning. Let's talk, how do you want to cooperate? The Golden Lion laughed. The ant is right. His plan is to rule the world. Since it is to rule the world, there must be no two kings of the world. So one day I will meet Whitebeard and fight for hegemony in the world. 0 seeking flowers, 0. Of course. The ant just wanted to speak. But the phone worm carried by Parosparrow next to him rang. Mom, Kaido's call. Parosparrow took out the phone bug, a touch of surprise appeared on his face. Kaido. The ant answered the call bug, connected directly, and then heard Kaido's angry and impatient words. Old lady, where are you now? Old Whitebeard wants to crusade against the Don Quixote family. The purpose is to destroy my trade and rule the new world. I heard that you have already taken action on the Whitebeard pirates, so let's unite. Advertisement. The words fell, and the surroundings fell silent. Then a smile of joy appeared on the ant's face. Just now she was still thinking about what she would do to get Kaido to join the league after persuading Golden Lion. But I didn't expect Kaido to come by himself. Gahahaha. It seems that no one can stop our union. Golden Lion heard this laugh. If it was just an ant, he still hesitated. After all, how strong Whitebeard is, you can tell from the newspaper. But with the addition of Kaido, the situation changed instantly. The combination of the three forces is enough to defeat Whitebeard. As long as he defeats Whitebeard, the strongest enemy, he can plan to rule the world unscrupulously. Why is this voice so familiar? Kaido's voice sounded. I agree with your union, and I am here at Golden Lion, so this union will be the union of our three parties. The ant smiled with a sharp voice. Golden Lion. Is that old guy not dead yet? Kaido was taken aback, but soon burst into laughter. Although I don't know how the ant found Golden Lion, if Golden Lion also joins, there is nothing wrong with it. Thinking of this, he immediately proposed the idea of meeting. Then meet at New World, and after meeting, agree on how to defeat Whitebeard. The three of them looked at each other and completely settled the joint matter. And 25%. Chapter 119. Brother Ming wants to run away. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Dressrosa. Brother Ming was sitting on the sofa with a phone worm in his hand. I have formed an alliance with the ant and the Golden Lion, and I will be in the New World Alliance in half a month, and then we will fight Whitebeard together. Kaido's low voice came. Buddha howl howl. Tripartite alliance. It seems that Whitebeard is going to be in big trouble. Brother Ming laughed wildly. Humph. Don't be happy too early. I'm not short of Dressrosa. Even if I support it, it will take 10 days. So prepare yourself for the evacuation. Kaido snorted coldly. When Brother Ming heard this, the smile on his face slowly disappeared, and his expression instantly became gloomy. Beasts pirates, ant pirates, Golden Lion pirates. The combination of the 837 powerhouses is indeed beneficial to him. But it is a pity. The three-person alliance is after half a month. And more importantly, Dressrosa is a considerable distance from Kaido's base. Even if Kaido supports it, it will take about 10 days. During this blank period, he must deal with Whitebeard himself. Dover, what should I do now? Torapal looked panicked. If nothing else, the Whitebeard pirates will arrive in Dressrosa in up to 2 days. If there is no support, they will not be able to support Kaido. Get ready to evacuate. Ming Ji's face was extremely ugly. There is only a dead end to stay in Daros Rosa. Advertisement. If you want to save your life, you must leave here and come back after the crisis has passed. But, Torapal hesitated. The power of the Don Quixote family is in this country. Once left, it is equivalent to abandoning the people of Dressrosa and no longer the masters of this country. And after leaving, the toy man will recover. Degree. At that time, everything that happened that year will be made public. In this way, it is difficult for them to return here. Buddha howl howl. Don't worry, we will return to this country soon, and even if those stupid people know the truth, I will have a way to get them to accept us again. Brother Ming laughed and didn't care at all. To him, the so-called popular anger is a joke. As long as the power of the Dongji River de family is still there. After the Kaido alliance destroys the Whitebeard pirates, he is completely free to carry out the second King Liku incident and regain control of the country. At that time, the truth becomes a lie again. The people would also think that he left Dressrosa just as a last resort, and then embraced him again. After all, the country is just a puppet of the strong. As long as the power is strong enough, even if the foolish people oppose it, under the oppression of absolute power, they will have to succumb without surrendering. With that, he immediately issued an order. Ready to escape Dressrosa while Whitebeard is not here. Hurry up. Take away everything that can be taken away, and don't destroy what can't be taken away, because we will be back here soon. Toripal directed loudly. Do you really want to leave? This kingdom is controlled by us with a lot of hard work. Advertisement. Pika asked in a high voice. Of course. Whitebeard is coming soon. That is a man more terrifying than evil spirits. If you don't leave, there will be no chance again. Toripal looked exaggerated and waved his arms. If it is someone else, the Don Quixote family may be able to stop it. But the person who came as Whitebeard, who is known as the strongest in the world. In the face of this kind of enemy, he has no confidence. What about the toys in the factory? Once we leave, those toys will be restored, and everything we have done will be known by then. Pika screamed. We have run out of time to bother about this. Toripal shook his head. What if the truth is announced? As long as the Kaido alliance eliminates Whitebeard and they return to this country, they can turn the truth into a lie again. So compared to the crisis brought by Whitebeard, the truth is not worth mentioning. I know. Pika stopped asking questions, and quickly commanded his men to take away all the things they were about to take. The Whitebeard pirates are going to crusade against Doflamingo, so the Don Quixote family is leaving this country. Violet, who has been hiding in the dark, covered her mouth, her face full of unbelievable zero. Although she is a cadre of the Donji Heed family. But the real identity is the princess. Now that I heard the news that Whitebeard was coming, there was an instant of hope in my heart. If you can seize this opportunity, the tragedy in this country may end, and the truth will be known to people. So I must act. Violet turned and left, and finally disappeared into the darkness. Just when all parties are preparing. Advertisement. The Moby Dick, which was supposed to arrive 2 days later, appeared in the waters near Dressrosa and approached the country. The Moby Dick. As the waves rolled, there was a burst of laughter from the boat. If Doflamingo knew we were here, he would be surprised. Ha 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 ha. Who told him to offend our brother? Yes, Luo's hatred is our hatred. The captains gathered together to discuss what to do with Ming after arriving in Dressrosa. Father, Dressrosa is here. At this moment, Marco, who was watching from the bow, suddenly spoke. After hearing this, everyone got up and looked far away. As expected, a small island appeared in the sea ahead. Goo la la la, is it finally here? Whitebeard took a sip and laughed. 5.0. The Moby Dick arrived at Dressrosa 2 days earlier. It's all because of his orders. Because he knew that Ming had a deal with the world government. If the world government informs Ming of his whereabouts, Ming will definitely be prepared and even flee. In order to prevent accidents, he gave the order to sail quickly. So I arrived at the destination 2 days in advance. Brother Ming, I'm finally here. Luo Yao stood up and looked at the small island in the distance. A flash of hatred flashed in his eyes. Are you ready? He will never forget how Mr. Corzone died in front of him. So in order to complete his revenge, he is willing to pay all the price. Percent. Chapter 120. Whitebeard is here. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Go towards Dressrosa. Whitebeard waved his hand. The captain who received the order took action immediately. In the rolling waves, the ships kept approaching, and then came to the port of the island. Ferry. People in the port were stunned when they saw the Moby Dick. It took a long time to exclaim. It's a pirate ship. The pirate is here, everyone, run away. The people turned and fled with fear. In a short while, there are only a few people left in the huge port. One of the remaining middle-aged men was looking at the flag on the mobile at this time, his face was full of fear, and his legs were shaking even more. Hello. You don't want to live anymore. The pirates are about to land on the island. Why don't you run? A citizen running by saw the man motionless, and subconsciously pulled. Whitebeard. The middle-aged man raised his arm tremblingly, pointed at the flag on the mast, and then yelled in horror, that is the flag of Whitebeard. After saying this, he ran away like crazy. Roaring while running. Oh 1. Whitebeard is here. That man who is more terrifying than evil spirits, has come to Dressrosa. Run, everyone, run quickly, or you will definitely be killed. A voice full of fear resounded through the streets. The unaware people were astonished and turned to look. I saw the port location. Advertisement. A huge ship approached slowly and then docked on the shore. On the mast of the ship, there is a pirate flag with a crescent moon and a beard. When everyone saw this banner, their bodies froze in place, as if they had been pressed the pause button and could no longer move. It took a long time to come back to my senses. Fear surged in my heart, and my body was trembling constantly. Some timid people were scared to the ground and could no longer stand up. Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, defeated Marine with his own power and won 2 big victories. He was called the most evil villain in the world by the world government. And it is this terrible existence. Today it appears in Dressrosa. Panic, horrified, fearful, all kinds of emotions rushed to my heart, making people wake up completely, and then screamed. Run! The scariest man in the world is here. Get out of here! Get out of here! That man is a terrifying demon that even Marine can easily defeat. He will definitely be killed if he stays here. It's over. We're all over. Whitebeard won't let us go. Screams, screams, and roars continued to sound. The people fled madly, and the streets that were originally quite lively disappeared in an instant. Although Whitebeard hasn't done anything bad. However, under the exaggeration of the world government and Marine, they have long become extremely evil criminals. And Dressrosa is known as the country of peace. The people who had not experienced the war for a long time suddenly met Whitebeard, who only existed in newspapers, and they were shocked. A huge panic spread. The people on the street disappeared and the whole street became empty. At the same time, the news of Whitebeard's arrival also reached Ming Jie. Advertisement. What did you say? Whitebeard has arrived. Brother Ming stood up with a sigh. His expression was extremely gloomy. Didn't it mean that they will arrive in Dressrosa in 2 days? I don't know that. If the world government's intelligence is correct, it will take 2 days at the speed of the ship. Torapal looked flustered. Damn it. Ming Jie's face was hard to see ultimate, and the cold sweat slipped from the corner of his forehead. He panicked. Really panicked. Others may not know the strength of Whitebeard. But he, who has personally experienced the Battle of the Top and the Battle of the Festival Island, knows how strong Whitebeard is. With the power of the Don Quixote clan, it is not an opponent at all. Dover, what should I do now? Torapal, who was usually full of bad water, also lost his footing. After all, Whitebeard is 4 emperors, even more powerful than Kaido. Against such a master, it is impossible to win by strategy alone. Send all forces to resist. And let the core cadres of the family abandon everything and evacuate with me. Ming Jie made a decision immediately. Why can the Don Quixote family become the overlord of the new world? Is it because of collaboration with Kaido? Or is it because of Master Dressrosa? Neither. The reason why the Don Quixote clan can cross the new world black and white is based on its own strength. Regardless of him, are his cadres. They are all famous and powerful in New World. So as long as you save yourself and the lives of the cadres, you lose the Dressrosa, and the Don Quixote clan can still rise again. Advertisement. I see. Torapal, who had a runny nose, woke up immediately and turned away. Soon, the toy soldiers were mobilized. Some cadres of little value were also dispatched. For example, Baby 5, Dellinger, and Mojabes, the cadres who are not bad but not the core members of the Donji River de family, were abandoned by Ming Jie and used them to block Whitebeard's pace. And Ming himself. He took Torapal, Pika, Sugar and others to prepare to flee the island. The other side. Whitebeard and others who landed on the island are walking on the street. The people on the island really regard us as wicked villains. Marco was a little dissatisfied. Haha. Don't forget, Dressrosa is a member of the world government. In the eyes of the world government, aren't we the villains? Joes laughed indifferently. Goo la la la. Don't pay attention to those people. Doflamingo is a cunning kid, knowing that we will flee here when we come, so we act separately. Whitebeard held a big knife and smiled slowly. Clear. The captain nodded. Except for Marco and Luffy, everyone else immediately ran in all directions. It only took a while and disappeared from sight. Just when the people dispersed, there was a sound of footsteps at the end of the street. Whitebeard looked up and saw a toy army rushing from a distance, followed by the cadres of the Don Quixote family. When he came to them, he immediately surrounded them.